Hey everybody, welcome back to another weekly edition of your live streaming horror movie podcast, Reely Scared. As always, my name is Taylor, but I'm never alone. I am always joined by the almighty, wonderful Connor Breedlove.
How's it going? I'm looking a little crazy tonight.
No worries, I'm looking a little haggard myself, a little sweaty, a little hot. Speaking of sweaty and hot, we aren't alone. We also have my favorite ghoul. Jessica is joining us as well. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Don't worry, no one hopped on yet. You don't need to be embarrassed that I said that.
Still am.
Welcome. How are you doing this evening?
I'm stressed, but I'm okay.
Stressed? Well, hopefully we can provide some stress relief by talking about terrible, horrible murder and monsters and things that go bump in the night.
That's why I come on here.
I know it's a point of passion for you. We lost Connor already. He bailed. He lost him. He took off.
Sorry, no.
Whoa!
you teleported back in. That was like a jump scare. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to anybody that's watching the show. Now he's frozen. Where is he? There he is. I think he's good. I don't know if he's freezing for you as well.
He's freezing for me too.
Okay, it's the consequences of doing a live show.
Really?
So, yeah, you're back. You're fluid now. You're fluid.
All right, cool.
Consequences. Like oh, there he goes again.
It's all right. It happens. Consequences of a live show. But thanks for coming on. Thanks for everybody that watches tonight. I know we got another kind of late shift show, 9 o'clock. The world's opening back up. People are going to work, maybe even going to school. So I know a weeknight, 9 o'clock, not always the easiest time to make. So anybody that hops on tonight, I appreciate your company and your attention. Connor is still frozen.
Oh no!
Statuesque down there at the bottom. I don't know if he knows he's frozen. He maybe just found out because I said it. If he needs to drop out and come back in, I guess we'll see. Or maybe he's just petrified. Petrified about the many things we're going to talk about tonight. We got hopefully a streamlined show in respect to the fact that it's a little bit later. There he goes. Hopefully we'll see him again very shortly here.
I bet we will.
We've got a bit of a streamlined itinerary for the show. At least I'm thinking we do. No secret that I tend to ramble, tend to get off topic, but hopefully not going to keep people up too late tonight. We've got a great show. Usually we pick out a little conversation topic. We're not going to do that tonight in the interest of saving some time and streamlining things. But we do have plenty of horror movie news, as we always do. Plenty of things to talk about. We have got our book club, the second edition of our Reely Scared book club. We'll be talking about the novella The Life of Chuck from Stephen King, from his latest book, If It Bleeds. We'll be discussing that a little bit that Connor and I have read. And then we will be going into our review portion. We have a couple trailers to watch as well. Before I forget, we have a couple trailers to watch of new movies that we're going to actually watch on the stream this time instead of just talk about them. We'll see how long that is allowed to go on, but we're going to try it out tonight. And then finally, we'll get into our review portion. We've got 2 movies to review, one being a pseudo-fictional biographical movie about Shirley Jackson, and the other being about a teenager brutally murdering escaped convict neo-Nazis. So we have a great duality of films. 2 very different women leading very powerful legacies, I suppose you could say. So we'll be talking about Shirley and Becky. Oh, I think I see my man. There he is.
All right.
There he is.
I'm gonna tell Terrence he's
am I doing better?
Yeah,
there we go.
Better.
You're moving fluidly. Your frames are. Oh no! I speak too soon.
You were water.
You froze like
Jesus
this.
Christ!
You're stuck like this right now. Oh no! Oh no! I don't hear you. You're moving at 2 frames a second. Oh no!
Oh God!
Wait! Now wait! Now you might be good.
Oh.
Say a little something.
Yep.
Am I good?
Yeah, I think so.
That seems pretty good.
Now. Yeah.
No. Pretty good. Oh no, you're frozen again. Every time I say you're good, you're frozen.
Well, no, we just don't say anything. I would just continue the show. We just don't jinx it.
We were having no issues at all in the lead up to the show as we were getting ready here, and now it's all clunking up. And you are still.
Apparently, I'm just horrible.
Okay, I heard you say that. You're moving again.
I don't know what.
Oh,
Am I moving? Can you?
You're very pixelated. You're very. I heard you for a second. I heard you say, "Can you hear me?" Okay. I don't know if we should keep just rolling on, seeing what happens.
I'll be right back.
Oh no, she's leaving now.
I am so sorry.
Disastrous. Our plan was to trim down the length of the show, and the first 15 minutes are going to be troubleshooting and people leaving.
I just have to go. I just have to go yell at the kids real quick. You just keep doing your intro.
All right, she's gonna go yell at the kids. Connor has left once again. Hopefully he can get his internet figured out. Now it's just myself, and that's awkward because this is the part of the show where we usually ask each other, "What have you been watching this week?" I got nobody to ask who I've been watching this week, or what I've been watching, what they've been watching this week. I guess I'll talk about what I've been watching this week. I don't even know if anybody's tuned in yet, so I'm just having this awkward moment by myself. Very special and very intimate. What have I been watching this week? See, the unfortunate thing is I don't even really have an answer for what I've been watching this week because not much. Connor's back.
Please let this work.
Okay, so far so good. So far so good.
You just fucked it up now.
My bad.
I hear you. I see. It's like every corporation on Twitter right now. I hear you and I see you.
My bad.
All right, Jessica's here. Connor's here. He's moving. I hear him. Fantastic.
We should have done it at 9:05.
Yeah.
I think we're good. All right. So I think we finally started the show here, and we'll start it off as we always do, even on a streamlined program, by posing the question to each other, what have you been watching this week? I will pass it over to Jessica, whose answers probably aren't very different from my own. What have you been watching this week, Jessica?
We saw Becky.
Yes, we
saw
did.
That.
We sure did.
I think that's the only thing I've watched this week. I've been really busy with schoolwork, so I haven't been able to really watch anything. Yeah, that's the only thing I watched this week is Becky.
Pretty much, yeah, because you didn't get to really watch Shirley. I watched Shirley, of course, and the only other thing I can think of that you saw as well was Just Mercy.
Yes. Oh yeah. We saw that. That was so good. Such a good movie. But I didn't get to watch the whole thing because I was busy.
Right.
But I got But I watched the last 5-6 minutes of Shirley, and even just in that last 5-6 minutes, I got what the movie was about. So
and
I feel like I didn't miss a lot with the movie.
Yeah, you definitely got to the main idea by the time you were tuning in. I thought it was good though. I remember that movie coming out last year, and I missed it unfortunately, and I didn't know a ton of it. I knew it was a true story. I knew Michael B. Jordan played a defense attorney, and he was representing Jamie Foxx's character, I should say.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know all the beats. If those who don't know, Just Mercy right now is streaming free on a couple services. I think we watched it on Amazon.
Prime is offering a selection of movies that are free to the public in support of Black Lives Matter. It was very, very good. I cried majority of the movie just because it seems like it's a very real story. Well, it's based off true things, but it's still going on today. So I think that's where the emotion comes in from it. So it's kind of sad, but I think it's a must watch.
Yeah, it's based on a man of color being wrongfully charged with the murder of a white woman, and I didn't realize this. Like I said, I didn't really know the full story, but as I was watching it, it's the beginnings of the Equal Justice Initiative, which for those who tuned in a couple nights ago on this channel, Chris, Matt, and Nick were doing a watch along for Do the Right Thing and raising money for the Equal Justice Initiative. So it was kind of a cool sit up moment, oh hey, listen to this little sign go up. It was like Leo DiCaprio, the pointing meme. I was like, there it is, Equal Justice Initiative. So that was cool though. It was cool. It was cool to see the true life backstory behind that. And that's pretty much all I've been watching. Other than that, I've been doing homework and reading Stephen King when I can. It's hard to find time, even in this world of quarantine. What have you been watching, Connor?
The one that I'm really excited about that I watched recently is Waves.
Oh, how is that?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible how overlooked it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it didn't get nominated for anything because that might be my favorite. Well, I watched it this year, but if I saw it last year, it would have been my favorite movie of last year. It's that good. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good. It's really
What
sad. I teared up quite a bit. It's like a story about this family, this black family, and the son is the son and the daughter are both in high school. The son's like a wrestler, and he gets his girlfriend pregnant. The daughter is like the son's best friend. The mom died. We learn that later on in the movie. But they have a stepmom now who kind of raised the kids. And something tragic happens to the son. And that like the midway point, it's like a shift of focus to the daughter and the family trying to cope with the tragedy and kind of learning to forgive and move on with their lives. I'm trying to think who's in it, but it was a really beautiful movie. It's A24. It's a little over 2 hours, but definitely did not seem it because it just kind of moved on. It like moved. The pacing's really good, and you're so wrapped up in these characters that the time doesn't really like weigh on you at all.
Mm-hmm.
It had Sterling K. Brown in it. He plays the father, and he gives an insane performance. He's really good in it.
Yes.
And then I've also been watching a lot of Judd Apatow directed movies to lead up to The King of Staten Island, which looks really, really good.
Yeah, it starts streaming tomorrow, right?
Yeah. I didn't realize how much kind of heart his movies had in them, along with the comedy. So I watched Trainwreck, which I don't like Amy Schumer, but Bill Hader is really good in it, and it does have a lot of heart in it, and it's really funny.
It's based off Amy Schumer's life.
Yeah. And then Funny People, which is my favorite Judd Apatow movie.
Hated that movie.
Really?
Hated it.
I love that movie. That's my favorite Judd Apatow movie. I can watch it over and over. It's so good. And there's a Ray Romano scene in there that is the greatest scene in cinema. Where
we do stand Romano on this channel.
Yes, where Marshall Mathers, as himself, gets really upset with Ray Romano for looking at him. And Seth Rogen's character says, straight-faced, "I thought everybody loved you." And that alone makes the movie worth it. That quick scene is amazing.
Yeah, that's with Adam Sandler plays the comedian, right?
Yeah, who's diagnosed with cancer or something. Yeah.
No, it was the first movie I went to go see at 18. So that I saw in the theaters, and it felt like it was 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's 2.5 hours long.
It was
Apatow does it long, yeah.
And it just wasn't. I didn't find it very funny. Maybe it's because I was 18. I don't know. And I didn't appreciate it.
It's dark humor for sure because it's about a comedian just kind of like
fucking up his life.
Yeah, because he just realized like, hey, I might die from this disease. I hate life. So like, it's kind of reminiscent to a lot of comedians when they like go through something and they come back with like this like run of stand-up specials, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, this is dark.
Kind of what Sandler's doing. I mean, different context, but definitely, Sandler goes and does this run of like the junky Netflix movies that a lot of people don't like, and then Uncut Gems comes out and people go like, oh, I don't know, is Sandler the best? I counted him out. So
I love Funny People, and watching it recently like made me appreciate it more because I think it is more adult comedy, and it's kind of more serious than a lot of comedy should be. So I looked at it more of like a drama, and I enjoy it more. And then I watched Knocked Up, which is still really good. That one has a lot more comedy than The Heart, but it's still a really good movie. But and then I just watched all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
There you go. Yeah, you said those were all on HBO Max, didn't you?
Yeah.
There you go. And that might be a relevant topic later.
Yes.
We'll circle back around to as well. Did also see you were enjoying the PlayStation 5 announcements this evening.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been looking at those too tightly. I saw that they announced the Miles Morales Spider-Man game, which is going to be awesome. The last Spider-Man game on PS4 was fantastic. Loved it. I got really excited for a millisecond because on Twitter I saw that Silent Hill is trending. I was like, no way, did they? And I opened it up and it was just people complaining that they didn't announce the Silent Hill game. It's like, God damn it.
And GTA 5 got released on a third generation of PlayStation.
Yeah, I saw Skyrim was trending too, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I opened it up and it was just people memeing the idea of them doing another Skyrim. But GTA 5, they're still somehow getting mileage out of that damn game.
Yeah, free when you buy a PS5. Free digitally.
I didn't see that. That's kind of neat, I guess. That's kind of neat. I guess they're just hoping you buy all like the cosmetic add-ons and stuff on their online and still raking the dough that way. And then I just don't want to bring it up because I think it is at least semi-relevant to the show. They announced Resident Evil 8 tonight.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, that looks cool. It looks very reminiscent of Resident Evil 4, which will probably be always be my favorite game in that series. Looks like they're sticking with the first-person thing. And looks like you're going to a weird European castle, and there might be a werewolf thing going on. And
I'm going to have to save up a whole lot over the next few months because I'll be getting I'll probably end up trading my PS4, but, all the titles they released, I'm like, I want that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to want, like, the matching, like, headset and dock and everything. So I'll spend a pretty penny on all that stuff.
Absolutely. I think I haven't gotten into playing any game in so long, but I think coming up here, I am going to go ahead and bite the bullet and get Last of Us 2.
Yeah. I haven't played the first one, and I've kind of I threw the question out there: should I wait for PS5 to play them, or should I, just get a combo pack tomorrow when it releases? But I'm probably gonna get both of them and play through them.
Yeah.
I heard it's hard to put down, so I'll probably play through it pretty quickly.
Yeah. First one's great. I have no idea when I'll play the second one, but I want to play it, so I think I might grab it, and who knows how long it'll sit in there. I'll have to try to avoid spoilers and shit. But that said, why don't we hop into our show here? While you were troubleshooting, I kind of set up everything we got to talk about today, and hopefully a little more of a streamlined show. Before I do, I just want to mention, because we shouted it on the last episode. We talked a little bit about Breonna Taylor and her case. And how it had been unsolved, and we threw up a couple of links to help support it. I did see before I went live something that made me kind of smile, which was something called Breonna's Law was just passed in Louisville, basically banning the practice of no-knock search warrants, literally named after her. So there's still a lot to do. There's still been no arrests made in her case. The officers who murdered her weren't fired. They're still working there and have been reassigned. They're cutting through sort of the legal tape, I guess. I don't, but so there's plenty more to be done.
It's a step in the right direction, but they still need charged.
Absolutely. I don't think something like that happens without the protests. So we keep seeing that. I don't think NASCAR bans the Confederate flag without these protests. Yeah,
I was surprised about that.
Yeah. So I wanted to
I don't feel guilty wearing my Earnhardt and Bobby Labonte shirts anymore.
As you shouldn't. But just wanted to shout that out because I thought that was at least something to make the world smile a little bit. But we still got a long way to go. We got a healthy portion of news. On our news segment, we try to keep it kind of light and fun and talk about shit that's getting made, shit that's getting announced, stuff that we're happy about. Have some kind of not fun news to talk about to start it off. So I do want to start with that so then we can get past it and then move on to some of the more enthusiastic stuff. But for those who are part of sort of the horror industry community, you're fans of it, you work in it, you might have been following this story a little bit. And then I think it's important to talk about because you could have also very easily missed this story because it's with everything happening right now, something like this isn't really a headline breaking news. But if you're in this sort of microcosm in this culture, a lot of people have been talking about it, which is what's happening right now with the production studio Cinestate and renowned horror publication Fangoria. It's a long story, and if you want all the beats, the Daily Beast posted this great expose article that really got into the nitty gritty of it, and I would encourage anybody to go look at that. But we're going to talk about Cinestate and the producer that has been heavily associated with them for several years over the course of several productions. I'm not just going to say his name. I'm going to throw his picture up here because I think it's important that we expose fucking creeps like this. And he looks like a fucking creep. I'm not afraid to say it. Here's his mugshot. The guy's name is Adam Donahue.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at him.
That guy's a fucking creep.
This looks like an absolute worm. He's got the fucking Cruella de Vil gray streak going down the top. Who back in April of last year was arrested and charged with the sexual assault of a 16-year-old girl on the set of a film. I'm not sure which film it was, but or who it was. They kept that anonymous, thankfully, for her sake. But he was arrested and charged, released on $25,000 bond, still hasn't seen his day in court. Says he's eager to prove his innocence in court. So is what it is. We'll see how that plays out. But there's a lot, general evidence here. In the article blatantly calls him the Harvey Weinstein of indie film. And I think it's important to kind of talk about that because there's maybe sort of an illusion that something like this maybe doesn't happen in indie film where it's, more ground-based and people that are more artistically inclined, you believe more in their projects. And maybe, the idea of somebody like a Weinstein is reserved for, or like a Brett Ratner or a Bryan Singer. Maybe that only happens in big studio filmmaking where it's more of an industry, but it happens it's happening in every industry on every level, including independent film. He was arrested and charged back in April last year. There's a lot of notes here, a lot of notes I've got on this story. He resigned from Cinestate, which if you don't know Cinestate, you might know some of their movies. They've done all like the Craig S. Zoller films, so like Bonesaw Tomahawk, Dragged Across Concrete, Brawl in Cell Block 99, the super pissed off Vince Vaughn movies. They've done other things other than that. I think that's what they're most notably known for. They've also recently put out some horror movies. One called VFW, another one called Satanic Panic. This guy Donahue worked on both of those, which is really where this started feeling relevant. They put those films out. They had distanced themselves from Donahue after he was arrested. Said he was no longer with the company. The head of Cinestate, Dallas Sonnier, went as far as to say, "May God have mercy on his soul." So it was like a definitive, like, we don't fuck with this guy anymore. And that was all good and well. But after this article came out, there's a lot of precedent to suggest that they knew perhaps what was going on with this guy. A woman, producer, I think she was also a producer, a woman by the name of Kristen Leah Haynes, released audio. It's online right now. You can hear it. It's on SoundCloud, but it's also included in this article that she recorded on her phone from 2014, so years ago. Have this guy in a car ride with her, like pleading to look at her underwear, and just really gross. You always hear about these things. It's pretty rare you get to really hear what the language is like and what the tone is like to actually get the context. It's pretty fucking disgusting to hear it for yourself. Back in 2017, this guy was removed as a legal investor from a Texas theater after several drunken incidents and after lewd behavior on sets. There's precedent that, again, the head of the studio, Dallas Sonnier, and one of the producing partners, Amanda Presmeek, had turned a blind eye, saying they never heard the audio. Some say they did. Apparently, it became an open secret on their film sets, and this guy was scummy, not to trust him. That he had not only in this respect, but that he had overworked crew members, having them do like 18-hour days, not paying them overtime, even having them forging time cards, saying that they had not worked overtime. Just really scummy behaviors. Mm-hmm. On the set of one of their films, VFW, he produced that. It's alleged that one of the actors, Fred Williamson, had groped one of the costume and makeup women on the set, that he had said some sexually lewd things towards them. He's denying that publicly, but there's at least a couple crew members that are saying that's legitimate, and that the studio's response was for the women to come up with a buddy system whenever they were around him. Not remove him from the set, but to have women come up with a buddy system when they walked around him, as that would be their form of protection. That would be their response. Again, Dallas Sonnier, this guy who's the head of the company, says that we couldn't get rid of him, and we were already mid-production. We would lose a ton of money. There's contracts, couldn't get rid of him. I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like there's more you can do than tell women, oh, just hang out whenever you're around him. It's what, tell them to change their behavior. Don't come to him to change his behavior. Just zero accountability. In addition to that, I try not to take too much time on it, but there's so many notes on this story. There's so many different stories. And again, I would encourage anybody, if interested, to check out the Daily Beast story on Adam Donahue, because they really, really have the time to get into it. So all this is coming out, and Dallas Sawyer's response has been that this is like a targeted attack. He feels it's unwarranted and it's unfair. It's a targeted attack because their studio aligns itself with like conservative politics, and that's not popular in the film industry, and that's not popular in horror movies. He feels like people are coming after them because they have a bit of a different message and make some films with conservative overtones and things like that that don't really get made a lot. And it's not in vogue to have those ideas in the film industry, and he thinks he's being punished for that. Just, it seems like every step of the way, every chance they have to say or do something about this, they just take the low road. And all this to say, Cinestate is also the parent company to, I mentioned earlier, Fangoria, which had been, like the leading horror movie magazine for years and years and years. They went away for a little while. They shut down, and then Cinestate bought them and relaunched them so that they could come back, and people were really happy. They most recently bought a movie journalism site called Birth Movies Death. And that was good news at the time, too, to see them relaunched and replenished. But both companies came out with a list of demands, detailed action plans, detailed this, because apparently Cinestate's coming up with an all-female task force to deal with this. And the need to come up with a task force to figure out, don't bring on sexual predators. It's just like, do you need a team to figure that out, or do you just need some like common fucking sense to figure this out? I don't know. Yeah. It's they asked for donations to charitable organizations like a Dallas Area Rape Crisis Center, or RAIN. And they've asked to editorially separate Fangoria and Cinestate. In the time since they made those demands, a number of personalities have left Fangoria. Podcasts have separated from Fangoria. A lot of writers and personalities have left, and eventually finally put up this statement, which basically says Fangoria and Birth Movies Death are both separating permanently from Cinestate, which is especially big for Birth Movies Death because they were just acquired by Cinestate. Mm-hmm. But they're both seeking new buyers for the brands. So that's a nutshell Cliff Notes kind of version of the story. But I think it's important. Again, I don't want to overstep the significance of the show or the reach of the show or anything like that we're doing something world changing here. But I think if we're going to talk about horror movies, if we're going to appreciate this community and this art form, it's important to point out basically predators or people trying to bring it down. They don't deserve the right to work in this industry. They don't deserve the success they've had, and their names and faces need to be known. And until a company like Cinestate proves that they are not empowering people like this to take advantage of, and they're actively preventing people like this from entering this industry, they need to be held accountable as well. So good on Fangoria and Birth Movies Death. They were put in a crazy, difficult position. So I'm glad they were able to find the ability to break away from Cinestate. I hope they do what's necessary. Cinestate, that being, I hope they do what's necessary to prevent this in the future. And at the very least, I hope Adam Donahue does jail time. He certainly, if any one of those things is true, he deserves it. So I'm confident the truth will come out in court, and I don't think it'll be in his favor, but we'll see. So I just thought important to lead with that because it's been a big story, and I think it'd be stranger if we didn't address it. So yeah, That's happening. Be careful out there, no matter what world or industry you occupy. Fucking snakes like this can always find their way in. So
also, if you're in the industry and the production team is stating that it is your responsibility to make sure that this doesn't happen to you, say something. I think it's important to step up and say something, because it should not be women's responsibility to protect themselves day to day in their work environment from known predators. Yeah. If there is a known predator and there has been issues that have been presented to the company and the industry, and they're doing nothing about it, and their whole resolution of it is, well, you need to be with somebody. You need to surround yourself with somebody else. You need to have a buddy system. That is not the answer. That's not accurate. It needs to be reported. You need to say something, get involved, do something about it. Don't just be a bystander. It's almost as if I don't want to say that we're allowing it to happen, but not doing something is not being part of the change. It's not going to change anything if nothing happens if you don't speak up and say something.
Yeah. Complacency is in its own right. It's support of the predator or the crime, which have you. You know, it's to sit aside and do nothing you're practically doing it yourself. You're allowing it to happen. You're allowing the culture to develop, and it seems like Cinestate knew. It seems like they knew. Mm-hmm. There's all the sources are being kept anonymous, but these are specific claims, specific crimes that people are banding together and say, "Oh, we knew about it. We talked to so and so, and these were the half-assed solutions that were afforded to us." And that apparently a number of them are quitting. They're quitting altogether. They're quitting the industry. They're not going to work in movies anymore because these experiences with Donahue, with Cinestate, with Fred Williamson have soured them so incredibly that they're just completely turned out to even the idea of working in film, which is really sad to hear, because we're all very passionate about either consuming these things or ideally making them one day. So to see somebody who's already perhaps doesn't want to even connect with what was once a dream or a passion because of what they experienced, I mean that's really sad. You know, that's art that we're never going to get to experience as a result of this. You know,
mm-hmm.
I'm glad it's out now. And I'm glad that this guy particularly cannot run from it any longer. And you know, the truth is always going to come out. So I'm glad it's caught up to him, and I hope he sees relevant punishment, a fitting punishment. That being said, should we move on into lighter topics, more fun news?
Yeah,
about shit we like. Let's do it.
That's scary shit.
We got plenty to talk about as always. This story came pretty early in the week. Our guy, one of the hottest directors in the game right now, Ari Aster, there he is on the set of Hereditary. You, of course, may also know him as the director of Midsommar. In a talk with film graduates of UC Santa Barbara, they did ask him, you know, what are you working on? What's coming next? Everybody wants to know. And he didn't give any plot details, but he said the next movie that he's working on will be a 4-hour-long nightmare comedy.
Okay.
And that's coming alongside, we've talked about his remake of the Korean film Save the Green Planet, but a 4-hour-long nightmare comedy. What do you guys think about that?
I'm on board. All these films, I mean, both Hereditary and Midsommar had like a tinge of comedy in there.
For sure.
Like very dark, very, very dark comedy. But so a 4-hour movie that is centered around that very dark, nightmarish comedy, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I don't need to know plot details. It's just I'm there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Midsommar. I loved that movie so much. So...
You did, which I was shocked by.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed that movie a lot. I think I'm interested into knowing a little bit more about the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to see people's reactions to the length of the movie, just because people tend to complain about 3-hour-long movies, but they're willing to sit, all day and Netflix and chill all day, and binge watch things. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. And A24 has kind of become like the director's studio or distributor. Mm-hmm. Do you think they'll actually let him get away with a 4-hour-long movie?
Yeah, they might cut it down to 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
but I mean, shown with, you had The Irishman, which was 3 hours and what, like 3.5 hours?
3.5, yeah.
And then you have, the Snyder Cut, which is going to be a little over 3 hours. I don't know. I love longer movies because it seems like I get more for my money.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of the time, if the movie's good enough, if it warrants the length, I mean, I want to spend as much time with those characters and that story as possible. So, the length doesn't bother me at all.
I agree. I think somebody said, it might have been Roger Ebert. He said something to the effect of like, every bad movie is too long and every good movie isn't long enough. You know, so if you can justify that runtime, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, if you're a good movie, if you can keep me from checking the time, then 100%, I'm always on board with that. So, yeah, Midsommar's long. I haven't even seen the director's cut. Even just the theatrical cut of Midsommar is long. Hereditary's long. I don't doubt this guy can make a captivating 4-hour-long movie. So I hope they let him do it. It'd be wild to see if A24 put out something longer than like Endgame, you know, in theaters. Be like, yeah, well, check this out. Check out our indie film, Dick on the Table.
I always get excited when I see something, you know, pushing the 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because if it's a movie I'm excited for and I see the runtime is like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, I'm like, awesome. Like I get to spend as much time with this movie as possible. This movie I've been looking forward to. Like I wanna go back to The King of Staten Island. I think that's like 225, 220, something like that. And I'm super excited for that because I've been looking forward to this movie. I want to spend as much time with those characters as possible. So I'm all for it. It'll be interesting though because these movies do give me a lot of anxiety and a lot of panic.
Yeah, they're exhausting.
So 4 hours of that anxiety like inducing atmosphere that he's famous for, that'll be tough. I will be squirming around a lot, not from discomfort from the length, just discomfort from the subject matter.
They might need an intermission that's not even like go get some snacks. It's like just lay on the floor and decompress.
We have a therapist in the lobby. Go ahead and go talk to the therapist. You guys got 5 minutes each. Get it out.
It's true. Both his features, Hereditary and Midsommar, have like this colossal gut punch in the first act, and then the rest of it is me just like uncoiling from that horrible, awkward, intense moment. So
I don't know. I felt very satisfied with Midsommar.
Oh, I was satisfied too.
Oh, satisfied for sure. I'm just thinking.
But when you saw like what the sister did, I was just like,
what happened to Florence Pugh's character's family?
It's just very depressing from like that moment on.
Yeah, and then to your point, it's like those agonizing stories are a little more palatable because he adds this weird absurdist humor in there. Like guy jumping off the cliff in Midsommar and getting hammered, and
that was intense. That was intense. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, they're hard and they're gross and they're scary, but they're almost so intense that all you can do is just throw up your hands and laugh about it. You're just like, this is insane.
I didn't laugh.
I'm having a mental break. It's so crazy.
Yeah, the only time I laughed was in Midsommar. I didn't laugh at all in Hereditary. I thought it was truly terrifying. I didn't find any comedy in it. But yeah, I just found it very scary. Midsommar, I did laugh a couple times, but it was the intentionally funny stuff, like the jokes.
Right.
Like the pube scene. I laughed during that. And then like there was a couple other with that, like I can't remember his name. What's that kid's name?
Her boyfriend?
No, the other one. The one that what's his name?
The one that like walks off and disappears?
Yeah, and then you see him like the other guy wearing his skin.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but that guy.
He's like the comedic relief of the movie, and obviously I laughed at his jokes, but the jumping off the cliff, I was actually like just like what the fuck. I didn't really laugh. I just said what the fuck.
I don't know. Maybe this is a unique phenomenon with me. We'll get into it with Becky. There's something that I started laughing at in Becky.
Oh no, I laughed a lot in Becky.
There's humor in Becky, but there was a thing that was, I don't know if I was supposed to laugh, but I definitely did out of like a weird relief of tension. We'll get to it.
I think we probably laughed at the same thing. I can't wait to hear what you laughed at, but it's probably the same thing.
Yeah, we'll get to Becky towards the end of our show. Absolutely, I'm excited to talk about Becky.
I'm excited for his 4-hour film because I definitely remember at the end of Midsommar thinking I wish there was more to the movie. I just wanted I wanted more from that movie, so I'm super excited for this.
Mark of a great filmmaker if you can make a 2.5 to 3 hour movie and your audience says, "Give me a little bit more." Yeah. We're gonna get a little bit more. Maybe we'll want 4.5 to 5 hours out of this one when it's done. But he's got the vote of confidence for me every time right now. I'll watch anything, like you said. We also got new posters for the sequel to Train to Busan, the Korean zombie movie. We've got 2 of them here. This is coming ahead of the film also being made an official selection at. And dude, I never know. Is it Cannes or is it Cannes? What do you say?
Cannes.
It's Cannes Film Festival. Okay.
Yeah.
I have it like programmed in my head to say Cannes, and I always know one of them is wrong.
I had that trouble too until I can't remember. There's a joke about it in a movie.
Oh, really? Yeah. So it was made an official selection, and for those who don't know, Cannes is a renowned film festival. Takes place in Canada every single year. Renowned film festival. Where productions go to show their film and hopefully get a studio's interest or distributors' interest, and they buy the film, and then that's when they find out when it's coming out, who's putting it out, and awards are handed out, and to be made an official selection of the festival is sort of a distinct cosign to the festival of like, hey, this is something worth looking at. So
Right.
I don't know that something like a zombie movie always gets that distinction.
I mean, Train to Busan was insane.
I still haven't seen it.
Melted my face off. It's fucking insane.
Yeah,
I loved it. It's definitely a ride for sure. But it makes sense that this one would be an official selection, because for a zombie movie, last week we reviewed Blood Quantum. This is one of those movies that like says a lot about like society and all that. So it does have that kind of socially conscious undertone to it. But it plays it with a zombie movie, and it's so good. It's on Netflix still, so definitely check it out. It'll melt your face off. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's something I've heard for like since it came out. Like, yo, this movie's the best. And for some reason, I just keep not getting back to it. Maybe it's because I have that zombie fatigue thing. But everyone's saying like, no, this one. Check out this one. It's getting a sequel. I didn't even realize there was a trailer for it that came out a couple months ago, so I watched that too. Looks big. There's not a lot of blockbuster zombie movies these days, I think, kind of because of that fatigue thing that a lot of people are experiencing. But this one looks big.
It definitely went bigger with it, probably because Train to Busan actually did really well. It came to the U.S. and it did really well in the U.S. and it's catching an audience on Netflix, like a bigger audience, because the Train pretty much took place entirely on a train.
Right.
Like the first act kind of like built the story outside of that, and then once they get to the train station, after that it's just pretty much entirely on a train station or on a train. So they definitely went bigger. They're building a world with this. It'll be interesting to see if it turns into a trilogy, but I'm happy they're going bigger and crazier with it.
Yeah, it I will either prioritize watching it on Netflix in the next week, hopefully, or if not, the original film's apparently getting a theatrical re-release starting July 1st. As we now know, movie theaters are opening back up this month. They're committing to that plan. But it'll rescreen and re-release with new footage included to tie it to this sequel. So even if you've seen it before, there might be some little goodies at the end to kind of bridge the gap. They did also release a plot synopsis, and it does sound like a pretty big movie. You can see here, just based on that poster. It takes place 4 years after South Korea's total decimation in the original film. Jung Sok, a soldier who previously escaped the diseased wasteland, relives the horror when assigned to a covert operation with 2 simple objectives: retrieve and survive. When his team unexpectedly stumbles upon survivors, their lives will depend on whether the best or worst of human nature prevails in the direst of circumstances. From the trailer I watched, not that that's breaking news, but when I watch it, it kind of invokes like the newer Resident Evil games that we mentioned earlier. Bless your heart, Mike.
Thank you.
But it looks action-oriented. It looks scary. There's a sequence that looks like a gladiator cage, but with zombies. Car chases, just all sorts of cool stuff. Even if I hadn't seen the first one, I think this one looks rad. So,
if he can do what John Wick did to like the typical like hitman, Russian mobster, like cliche of action movies,
Yeah.
then it can go big.
Yeah, even something like Fast and Furious, which was
Yeah.
kind of tail spinning out, no pun intended, and then they found this new approach to it, and now it's like the biggest thing ever, you know. So that's a good point. You could do that with the zombie subgenre now too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to look forward to if you're a esteemed Canadian film personality or director. You'll probably get to actually watch this because they're not doing an in-person festival naturally, but they are doing a digital festival. So we have not ascended high enough to get the password to that, unfortunately, to watch Peninsula ourselves, but I'll look forward to it when we can. Quick little story. I know I'm excited about this, and I believe Connor will be too. Jason Blum just revealed recently in an interview with Entertainment Tonight, they mentioned what's up with Happy Deathday 3, and he didn't say much, but he did say, "Let me tell you, I'm working overtime on it, believe me." What do you guys think about seeing a third Happy Deathday movie?
I didn't see the first or the second.
Oh, okay.
Super excited. Love these movies.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people didn't really like the second one, but I mean, it's a different genre pretty much. It's more sci-fi, but it's still fun. They're just fun, you know, movies that can play within different genres. So I'm interested to see what they do with the third one. Do they go back to the slasher kind of style of the first one, or do they get weirder and expand on that?
I do wonder, because the second one, like you said, it gets away from the slasher stuff, which I personally didn't love that they got away from it, because I thought that's what made the first one great. But maybe it would have been too much of a rehash if they kept it going in the second movie. But they go more to the sci-fi thing, and I don't remember. I only saw it the one time, but I recall towards the end they get into this weird time travel, dimension hop, sci-fi machine thing at the end.
Yeah.
And I remember at the same time that movie came out, Jason Blum was out here talking about, oh yeah, we might do crossovers with our properties. And I was thinking, I was like, is that the gateway to bring these seemingly separate movies into a continuity? Is some weird Happy Deathday time travel dimension hop thing?
That would be super cool if they were like, if they actually do that. It'd be insane, but I'd be down for it.
That was what I
really
thought.
Smart.
That's what I thought, and then because then they stopped talking about it, and he said like, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do Happy Deathday 3 because it didn't do as well as we thought. So I was like, oh, they abandoned it, because he had said that there have been plans for them to cross Insidious and Sinister over, which makes sense. You don't really got to do too much to do that. You're like a scary ghost demon thing. You got a movies about scary ghost demon hunters, so like, sure, they could be in the same world. Why not? And they still hadn't got there, but who knows? You could do like, what would be the most ridiculous one? You could do like Insidious ghost hunting during the Purge. Wow. Wow. Whose house are you at? It's Michael Myers' house. Oh no. You could do something like that.
It'll be interesting if this is their kind of springboard into crossing over properties that they own.
I feel like that's the last big current trend that Blumhouse hasn't gotten into, is the crossover, the cinematic universe, which many have tried and failed to obtain, but I think
Save the Dark Universe.
Save the Dark Universe. I think they've heard the cries of saving the Dark Universe. I think Blumhouse would probably pull it off maybe first go, and they wouldn't even need us to launch a grassroots campaign to save it. So maybe that's what this will lead to. Either way, I think those movies are delightful. I'll come back for a third one. I'm happy to see whatever weird concept they put together to explain this one. Another thing I know Connor's very excited about. Get ready, something very scary is going to pop on the screen. Oh, wait, where is it? There it is.
Oh yeah!
Oh my god!
I love it.
Oh.
That's right. That's a quote from Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead remake. In the world of Evil Dead.
Oh, is it still up there?
Oh, you want me to take it down? All right, I'll take it down for you. And then in Evil Dead news, Lee Cronin, who some may know as the director of A24's The Hole in the Ground, has been handpicked allegedly by Sam Raimi himself to be the director for the new Evil Dead film titled Evil Dead Now. As far as we can tell for now, Bruce Campbell is not set to star in it. It's not expected to have any ties to that remake. But they're making a new Evil Dead movie. Connor, what do you think about that?
I think they're being kind of coy with how it connects to the others.
Yeah.
Because they said it has no ties to. I mean, if you don't do it with Bruce, then does it tie into the original trilogy?
Right.
And if not, and it doesn't have ties to Fede's movie, then does it have ties with that at all? Like, it's weird. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Super excited for it. I just think they're being kind of coy with how it's gonna connect, because Fede's did connect to the original trilogy.
Yeah, it was in the same world.
Yeah, because you had Ash's card there. It just didn't really have any mention to it. It just had Easter eggs that kind of threw it into the universe. So I'm interested. I love the title. And
it's a weird one. Evil Dead now.
And it's promising that Sam handpicked this director.
Yeah.
So that's promising.
Did you see Hole in the Ground? I still haven't seen it.
I'm not sure. I might have, but
came out maybe about a year ago, maybe a little bit more.
Maybe not.
It had a weird release, I think.
Yeah, I'll search it and
it's an
watch
Evil
it.
Kid movie, so
okay, cool. Yeah, makes sense.
Fantastic.
But yeah, as an Evil Dead fan, huge Evil Dead fan.
Note the Necronomicon pillow behind you.
Oh yeah, and the blanket. Yeah, I'm there. I'll be watching that.
Yeah, they did say it's in the world of Evil Dead, which is very popular language these days. Oh, it's not a sequel, it's not a remake, it's in the world of whatever it is. I feel like they're always saying that shit now. So
yeah,
but I agree. I'll come back for an Evil Dead story. Jess, have you ever seen any Evil Dead movies?
Nope.
Well, guess what? I got great news for you, because they are re-releasing Sam Raimi's original Evil Dead film to do drive-in screenings. You and I have been occupying the drive-in a lot in the last month, and I'm perfectly fine with going back as much as we can. Starting June 13th, yes, you'll be able to watch. I think it's a 2K remaster of the original Evil Dead. Will be screening in drive-in theaters. So great way to experience that. I think horror is a great one to experience at the drive-in.
Yeah, it really is. I like it, especially I haven't seen any like re-releases at the drive-in yet, but I'm really excited to see Evil Dead at the drive-in.
Next weekend will be a great weekend for that.
Why's that?
Jaws.
Oh yeah, the drive-in is doing Jaws in Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really cool to see too. I think I might go out and see some of these re-releases at the drive-in.
Yeah. When I think of the drive-in, I think of B movies, horror movies, monster movies. Yep. So the opportunity to see.
I saw Godzilla, the new one, at the drive-in, and that was a lot of fun. Seeing Godzilla like at the drive-in on those screens.
Yeah.
It was just really cool. I probably enjoyed it more at the drive-in than I would have anywhere else, just because monster movies, like you said, are just so fun to see at the drive-in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've enjoyed every single movie we've watched at the drive-in more, even though some of the movies we've watched beforehand when we went, it was just more enjoyable at the drive-in.
Yeah, definitely.
It's great. I know people see. I think we sing praises of the drive-in every week on this show now. But really, I think people think of it as some little commodity or some little niche or dying industry. And sure, it's not as prevalent as it was.
It's not dying.
But no, it's seriously, it's a great. You don't even need a pandemic to enjoy it. It's just great. Yeah.
It's great. They are booming. Oh my gosh, when we went, it was just so busy. They were actually having people stand there before they came in and asking them if they had tickets or not because they were sold out.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's
crazy busy.
I think of the screenings we've gone to. It was Becky, and the double feature was the Blumhouse Fantasy Island, which we did stick around for.
Damn,
we were just too sleepy.
So tired. Oh my gosh, we were so exhausted.
If we hadn't seen it before, it might have been a different story. But we'd seen it. We were so tired. We just needed to go. But it was bumping for Becky, man. People showed up, and they were cheering for Becky. They're like, "You get them."
Yeah, and even when we were leaving, they still had a line of people trying to get in.
Yeah. So excited for the drive-in. I know theaters are opening up, but I'm so cool with doing the drive-in still.
I'll be seeing Evil Dead at the drive-in. That is something I will go out of my way to check out. Because as many times though I've seen Evil Dead, I have not seen it on the drive-in. So
yeah,
it'll be an even cooler way to experience one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Are you ready to watch another scary movie at the drive-in, Jess?
I'm so excited for Jurassic Park. I love that movie. I love that movie. And the Harry Potter marathon. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Doing a Harry Potter marathon, yeah. Yeah. Well, I've called out Jurassic Park as one of the first movies to ever scare the shit out of me. So maybe you'll get some revenge. Those raptors will be too tall to handle.
You're gonna be watching all these fucking movies that scare the shit out of me.
You get me crying at the raptors. We sometimes like to. I mean, it's a good problem to have. The too much horror movie news before the show started. Before every show starts, I just check like, okay, is there any big story we need to get on here? And there was like a lot of it's coming from Cannes. More movies being announced whether selections or things that are being acquired ahead of screening. But I couldn't even read it all. I didn't have time. To read it all. But I saw one that caught my eye. This one just kind of popped out today, which was, I guess, Sigourney Weaver had a chat with Empire Magazine, and she had said that franchise producer Walter Hill, about a year and a half ago, had sent her like a 50-page treatment for what would be Alien 5. And that script or that treatment for that film would have brought Ripley back. And this is apparently not the Neil Blomkamp thing. This is something else, but a 50-page treatment that would have brought her back. She was quoted as saying, Ridley has gone in a different direction. That being Ridley Scott. Maybe Ripley has done her bit. She deserves a rest. So maybe Sigourney Weaver not as enthusiastic about coming back herself. But I just thought that was peculiar that there was apparently a script for a different Alien movie floating around that was Ridley Scott that would bring that character back, not the Blomkamp thing. Maybe that we talked about him having a third movie last week, Alien Awakening or whatever, that would prelude Alien but come after Covenant. I don't really know how you would bring Ripley back and do an Alien prequel at the same time. Like, I don't really need to know what Ripley was doing before she met the alien, So, and you'll need some pretty fierce digital de-aging.
Yeah.
Which has worked before. But if you're gonna do Ripley again, give me old lady Ripley. Give me Jamie Lee Curtis, Linda Hamilton, Ripley.
Here's what I have to say about Alien. I'm pretty sure I've said it before.
Yeah.
Either make the third prequel with Ridley Scott, or make the Neil Blomkamp one with Ridley, or just start over, start fresh, get a new heroine in there. Right. Don't make it Ripley. Just start fresh, make a new Alien, and spring off of that.
Yeah.
Don't shoehorn in Ripley to if it's not Neil Blomkamp's story.
Right.
I don't need to see what Ridley Scott has to say about Ripley anymore.
Yeah.
You should just finish his prequel trilogy, call it quits. And if they don't want to do that, don't bring back Ripley. Just call it quits and start fresh with a new heroine. Give like a new up-and-coming actress their shot, and just start over. That's all I have to say. Just pick one. Don't try to do all of them at once and try to tie them in. It's kind of like what it's akin to what DC's doing. They're doing all these, but they're like not saying they're connected, but yet they have ties to these previous movies, so it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. Which I feel like they would do that thing that Halloween did and like Terminator kind of did, where it's like, well, all right, most of these movies don't count. If it was Ridley Scott, he probably would even say the second one doesn't count. It'd be like, okay, this is the sequel to my movie, and that's it.
Yeah. Which could be cool, but then again, like, there are some, Aliens is good. Yeah. And I did watch Alien 3 again, and, that's not as bad as everybody said it was.
It's definitely not as bad as Resurrection.
Yeah.
Which we figured out Jessica had seen Alien Resurrection. She has seen some of the Alien movies because she remembered the horrific hybrid thing at the end flying out the hole. She remembered that. So I know she'd seen that one.
That was pretty gruesome.
And if you're going to retcon everything after, I mean, I feel like that would cause problems with some of the prequels. So
Yeah.
I don't think they should make an Alien 5. I think they should just start over.
Make Alien : subtitle. Alien.
Or just call it Alien. Kind of do what Halloween
That's what they would do, right?
Just call it Alien.
Or they call it the Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
whatever
Alien.
they want to do, just start over. I think that's the smart thing to do.
Alien now.
Oh my god.
You know what they do in Alien 3 that I can't believe they never took advantage of, except for one of the AVP movies, was the idea of an alien coming from a different organism than a human being and like taking on its traits.
Yeah.
I feel like you could do a whole movie that's just aliens coming out of different shit and transforming. Because they do that a lot in the comics. Because I mean they can afford to. So there's been all sorts of weird like, oh, this is what a water alien looks like, and this one can fly, and this one's giant because it came out of a rhino or something. I just can't believe they never came back. It's very action figure-y. I definitely had like different xenomorph action figures growing up, but like I can't believe they ever did that shit. I feel like Disney's the ones that are gonna do that because they own it now. They'll be like, yeah, I don't know, he's a xenomorph, he flies or something.
If Disney does anything with it, they'll make it PG-13, and it's just gonna completely put the nail in the coffin.
That would be awful. That would probably be the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
Is water it down. There's nothing about a xenomorph that says like child friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want more blood and guts and acid blood and nastiness. Kind of hopping back into the drive-in end of things. For the box office this week, we don't usually report box office numbers, but at a time where movies don't come out and most theaters aren't open, it's been interesting to see what rises up. The Wretched is still number one at the box office. It earned $207,212 total this past week. That puts its total lifetime gross at $1,112,535. So they've entered the $1 million club, which again, on a normal week, $1 million gross would be the worst bomb of all time. And this climate, it's pretty remarkable, just being a drive-in screening. So really cool to see people are still flocking to that movie. And then again, to touch on what we'll talk about in a little bit, Becky, which debuted this past week primarily at drive-in screenings, that came in at $205,797. So just a couple $100 shy of Wretched's take this week. So I was curious to see what came after those movies, because those are the only two newer movies I knew had released on drive-ins, and it was shit I'd never heard of with takes that were less than like $1,000. So like these are super, super tiny movies that are probably not even playing at drive-ins. They're probably playing at some theater out in the sticks that didn't close somehow, and they're getting.
Well, didn't movie theaters open back up this past week?
Not this. They're gonna. It's a state-by-state basis. Starting yesterday, theaters were allowed to open in this state. None have yet, but all of them pretty much will be by the end of the month. So we'll definitely see these box office numbers change. People will probably stop looking at drive-ins as intensely. But I also am kind of curious what will start opening on some of these screens. Will it be these movies that have been playing at the drive-in? Like, will The Wretched get picked up by Regal and Cinemark, or will Becky start playing at AMC's? Like, will that be what they move to do? And will these movies continue to succeed? Because it's either pick up these smaller ones that are either been straight to digital or dust off some stuff that people have already seen. I mean, you could conceivably put out stuff that was straight to demand. Maybe Last King of Staten Island will show up somewhere. I think
they'll probably release that too.
Yeah, maybe
some drive-ins.
Maybe they'll try to get Trolls out there, the Scoop and stuff like that. Just try to see what. I know, just shaking your head. We didn't like Scoob. We do not stand Scoob on this channel.
I never watched it,
and that's fine. That's fine.
That's perfectly fine.
A shame of a Scooby story, let me say. Shameful.
They should be ashamed.
And then, hey, it's the last thing I've got before we jump into our trailers. This seems like a nice time to bring it up because we do know the multiplexes are opening back up this month. Locally, we are, of course, in Ohio, primarily Cleveland-based show. Cleveland Cinemas just announcing the reopen dates for all of their theaters. June 19th, the Apollo Theater and Tower City Cinemas will open back up. June 24th is the Capitol Theater and Chagrin Cinemas, and July 1st, the Cedar Lee will open back up as well. All under the sort of social distancing guidelines that you would expect from them. I read over those, not really much new to cover. Basically everything you think they'd be doing, they're doing it. And they'll reopen with screenings of classic movies that will all sell tickets for $5. So seems like a nice little quiet way to open. I double checked the Nightlight in Akron, which is another theater I really like, is decided to take their time and are not going to rush to reopen until they think they're ready to do it safely and healthfully. So respect to them for making that choice. But if you're in Cleveland and have really wanted to get into a closed space with some strangers with recycled airflow, your time is coming. But it's good. Like I said, I'll go to the drive-in as much as I can still, but I'm happy to know that those businesses are going to be able to come back, because those theaters are really precious. And I'm glad. I
love the Nightlight.
Yeah,
I live like right down the road from the Nightlight. I saw the Lighthouse there. I had never been there until I saw the Lighthouse. It was really cool. They had like specialty drinks named after something in the movie. They were delicious, and it was just really cool. Yeah,
they're really, really solid place. I hope they do get to open soon whenever it seems right for them. And I'm glad the Cleveland theaters are getting to do it too. You know, Capitol and Cedar Lee. I've seen a lot of good stuff at both of them. So
yeah, I will say I might go on like a slower. I'll figure out when like the slow days are.
Yeah,
and see it then, or slower nights, I should say, because I wouldn't want to be in there with, when I saw the Lighthouse, it was packed. And I don't want to be in that situation. I've said before, I see myself, for the rest of the summer going to the drive-ins until they're closed for a season. And I'll probably stick by that.
Definitely with the big movies. Like, I know I'm perfectly happy with going to see Tenet at the drive-in.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to going on a road trip to see it IMAX and on film.
Yeah.
But not going to be doing that because, that just sounds like a disaster. So I'll settle for the drive-in. I'm sure it'll still be as cool.
Yeah. All right. So we hop into some trailers tonight.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple to look at here. As I mentioned earlier in the show, usually I just pop up an image, tell you the name of it, and we talk about it. We're going to do a little experiment here where we're going to actually play the trailers on stream and then talk about them, but I think that makes it a little more interactive, a little more organic, a little more entertaining. Don't know if that'll keep, because copyright rules and algorithms are weird, especially on YouTube, even though, of course, we are giving free promotion for these films, but the machines don't care about that. It's black and white to the machines, but we got a couple to watch. I want to play them in order of release for the films. So the very first one I believe we'll be looking at is for a film called You Should Have Left, coming out June 19th from Blumhouse. I'm going to pop it up. It's going to mute us. We're going to disappear, and we will all watch this together. Here we go.
Come away with me. If I don't get out of here for a while, you're going to go nuts.
I love you so much.
It's just the three of us. Just you and me and Ella.
Daddy, because you're old, you died before Mommy, right?
Hey, not that old.
It's so beautiful!
Wow.
I love this.
Wait.
What?
Listen. Be quiet. Hey.
There was a shadow on the wall.
I know it's fun, but it's time to sleep. Good night, honey. Jesus, you got enough switches? Does this wall look right to you?
What are you doing?
26 feet. 21. This room is 5 feet longer on the inside than it is on the outside.
How does that work?
It doesn't.
Anything happened yet?
Ella!
You chose this place, not me.
You sent me the link.
I absolutely did not. You sent it to me. Somebody wrote in my journal. Do you like it here?
No. Do you?
I hate it.
Hello? Are you okay?
What is this place?
There was a different house before that one.
What sort of house?
Why do people hate Daddy so much?
The judge and the jury all found him innocent, but some people didn't believe him.
The house shows me.
He must be guilty of something.
People have always stayed in that house. Some don't leave.
Wake up! It's a dream!
The right ones usually find the place. Or maybe it's the other way round. The place finds them.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I saw Jessica jump in the. I can still see her. I saw her jump to the bottom there.
I knew that's why you were laughing. I knew it. He always laughs at me every time I get scared. Every time.
I am so excited for this movie.
Yeah, where did this come from?
I don't know. I never heard of it. Like, I was looking at Blumhouse's like list of like movies he has in production, and I saw this, and then next thing I know, the trailer came out like the next day, and then it was being released to VOD shortly after. It looks so good.
Yeah,
I love Kevin
solid.
Bacon. Look, there's some good like jump scares in there. One
there
thing
is.
I will say is that they can cut the hell out of a trailer, incorporating the sound of like the light switches. What they did there was so cool. So it's a good trailer, and I'm very excited. I think we talked about maybe reviewing it. We'll see about that. Yeah. So I'm very excited for it.
What'd you think, Jessica?
Oh my god, it scared me.
It did. It really did, folks. I promise you. I saw her little thumbnail. She was not having the best time down there.
And I'm happy they included the like bit about the room being longer inside than outside, because that really grabbed my attention. I was like, okay, that's weird. And I feel like if that wasn't in there, it kind of would fall into like normal, like cliched
ghost movie house.
Yeah. But adding that little tidbit in there was very interesting and got me more interested in it.
Yeah, that one really is what like flipped my lid, because I don't know if I've said it on here before, but my favorite book of all time is a book called House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski, which is a book about a lot of things, but the simplest way you could put it is it's about a family that moves into a house that's bigger on the inside than on the outside. And I think it's probably an impossible book to adapt to TV or to movies. I know he's trying to get it to be TV, but just to even hear that concept come up for a trailer in a horror movie just made me go like, it was just like that Antonio Banderas gift where he's like, that was me. That was me when he said that. So it's almost a strike against them, because now I'm going to hold them to a pretty high standard to see if they can really take that concept and make it as scary as the book does. I don't know if they will, but again, where the hell does this come from? It's not, because Blumhouse does straight to digital DVD releases sometimes too, not just when the movie industry shut down. I don't know if that was the plan for this, or if
I don't think it was, because there was like some older posters for it that said like coming to theaters 2020.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's not a BH tilt, which is usually designated for their lower end,
right? Yeah,
than what they already do. But they're cheaper movies that they usually release straight to VOD and a limited release. But this is straight Blumhouse, so I believe it was intended for a release sometime this summer, but they were like, let's get ahead of it and let's get on VOD. Probably because they thought, probably wouldn't make that much anyways. I mean, it would be a lot for them because they always work with a very small budget, but with, we don't know how the market's going to turn out. So they were probably like, let's just release it. We'll probably get a bigger audience that way.
Yeah.
Well, they got they get two
Yeah, they have Kevin
famous actors
and
in
Amanda
there.
Seyfried. Like,
Yeah,
those are two pretty big actors.
Yeah, those are names. Those aren't just like genre players. You know?
Yeah.
Those are pretty big crossover names. I know some people are kind of creeped out by it because they're like, Amanda Seyfried wasn't even alive when Footloose came out. What's up with that? But hey, these age discrepancies happen.
But it seems like they are kind of painting his character to be kind of creepy with a troubled past, so that might play into it.
Right,
so
it might be.
Mentioned he did have like a trial for something, and it looked like it might be a murder.
I like the depiction of that the house is supposed to represent. It's supposed to bring things out in you. That's pretty. It's a creepy thing to have like deep dark secrets, but then for it to come out in a house and to kind of show you and haunt you is pretty scary. So
yeah, which is also something else that grabbed me, is because usually like it's just like a ghost in the house. The house has a troubled past, but the troubled past is your own, and the house is just bringing that to the forefront, which is really interesting. I'm not sure many movies have done that with the haunted house subgenre. So this looks very interesting, and I'm excited for it.
It kind of reminded me almost of The Room, that movie that we were talking about.
Oh, the Shudder movie?
The Shudder movie. Yeah.
Not the Wiseau classic.
No, it kind of reminded me of that a little bit, but obviously different, but just kind of almost the same feel.
Yeah. And I like the title, like the Amityville Horror House is like, get out. And this one's just like, you should have left, dude. You fucked up. You should have left.
Oh, man.
So yeah, that's Connor said. I think we can expect to cover that one within the near future, because that looks pretty promising. And we'll always turn out for Blumhouse on this show.
Oh,
it's kind of a given.
I think we talk about Blumhouse as much as we talk about Shudder at this point.
Yeah, two deals.
You have to.
2 deals. I haven't seen Connor bust back any G Fuel, so I don't know if we're losing that brand deal.
No, I'm dipping my toe into several different brands to see which one we can grab attention of. Right here, I have Jam Jar. It's a sweet Shiraz from 2019. It's currently my favorite wine.
Okay.
It's very delicious. You can find it at Walmart, or not Walmart, Giant Eagle on sale. It's normally like a $20 bottle, but it's on sale right now for $9.99.
Oh, I love it when they do that.
Delicious. Definitely check it out. If you didn't know, it's 90 points for the Ultimate Wine Challenge.
Oh, wow.
So if you the wine challenge, you can get 90 points.
What kind of wine is
enjoying it? It's a sweet Shiraz, so it's a sweeter. It's packed with juicy berry flavors and hints of dark chocolate. The jar makes a versatile partner for everything from cheeseburgers to chocolate pudding.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a red wine.
Yeah, it's a red wine. It's very delicious, and it gets you incredibly fucked up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real wine reviews are very first on the channel, and probably, honestly, not going to be our last, I imagine. Oh, well, here it comes. Hold for it, folks. So it's not a quick show anymore. It's not a short show anymore.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. And there it is from the man himself. Okay. All right. We'll hop into another trailer. This is for a film called Playhouse. I'm also going to try to pee really fast while it's playing, which I only announce to make sense of why I might not be here when it stops playing. So I'm going to go real quick. I've already watched the trailer before. It's called Playhouse. Here it goes.
Nice place. A castle from hell.
You must be our new neighbour.
We've been curious to know who's moved into the castle.
My dad's a writer.
What's he working on now?
It's this crazy idea.
This is a whole new level of experience.
Why has he moved here?
There's something here, I can feel it.
I have no idea what you're doing.
I am this close to something great.
Dad, let go of me.
This is more than just a home.
Look at what's happening to you.
Who's that? What are you?
You have to stop this.
Talk to me!
I want to be left alone.
Can't get a hold of you. It won't let go.
Something is happening.
You should finish it.
All right. What'd you guys think of the trailer for Playhouse?
It looks like it has some cool visuals to it.
Yeah, that's what got me from it.
Yeah. I don't like. I noticed this with like kind of like British productions. There's like this weird aesthetic to it where it seems like almost like soundstage shot, like it's a play or something. I notice it with like shows like I haven't seen a lot of Doctor Who, but from what I've seen of it, and like their adaptation of like Sherlock, like there just seems to be this like it's almost like it's shot from like a soundstage, like it's a play, and that kind of like aesthetic can throw me off, which kind of threw me off for this. But there is some like creepy stuff in this trailer, like when he says he just wants to be left alone. That little like bit creeped me out. And then the aesthetic of like the demon ghost thing is really cool. So I'll check it out, but I'm hesitant on it.
Okay. How about you, Jessica? I was peeing, so I didn't see if you jumped during the trailer.
I did not jump. I was just I mean, I think it was the visuals that creeped me out about it. I feel like it was one of those trailers where I saw a lot.
Yeah.
But I still don't have a grasp of what exactly is happening in the film.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange that we're watching like back-to-back trailers of haunted houses. But
yeah, you guys had mentioned like, oh, that other one looked cool because it wasn't a typical haunted house. I was like, shoot, maybe I should have queued up Playhouse first.
Yeah, it's it looks okay.
Looks okay, yeah.
Yeah, it looks okay. I don't know how to feel about that one.
For what it's worth, somebody somewhere saw it and was impressed by it, because I mentioned there are films that are getting picked up before they even hit their sales screenings at Cannes, and this is one of them. A UK-based distributor named Devilworks has already taken the world rights to the film before it actually officially screens. So folks at Devilworks saw it and thought there was something worth investing in. So I don't think there is a release date already on it. June 23rd, it should hit on demand. So I don't know, maybe Devilworks will work on like a theatrical run or something like that. But towards the end of this month, you'll be able to check out Playhouse if you're interested. I agree that the ghost sort of aesthetic and design is really what the thumb. Somebody just queued up like a thumbnail of it, and that's what made me click on it, honestly, because I was like, oh, that looks really like sinister and creepy. So I opened that up. So we'll see what the word is on that. Maybe again, all these movies that we play trailers for, obviously something that we could potentially cover. So we'll see. We might come back to Playhouse. Let me say, and I know it's a late night, but for those who are watching or listening, been a little quiet out there. If you're watching these trailers with us, feel free to hop in. Don't be shy. And if there was ever a trailer that you were going to talk about, it's probably going to be this one I'm about to play. It's also coming out June 23rd for a movie called Aqua Slash.
Excited for this one.
Connor put this in the show notes. He brought Aqua Slash to my attention.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Let's hop in. Let's take a look.
You crazy? Ah! Okay. I'll do whatever you want. Anything you want. I'll give you whatever you want.
All right, everyone, listen up. The Grad Committee have worked hard to make this a weekend to die for. Partying here is a tradition since 1988. All right, let's get lit! Woo!
Yeah!
Didn't people die here at Wet Valley murders?
Accidents happen, huh? Keep your head on straight.
Why?
Once in a while, things can get a little bent around here.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they say they got no original ideas in Hollywood anymore. A killer water park.
It looks so ridiculous, but it looks like one of those throwbacks to, like a Friday the 13th. Young teenagers are trying to have fun, and then just some ridiculous killings happen, especially that final one. I'm so excited for this.
Oh my god.
It looks so much fun and so ridiculous that, we've talked about like these psychological horrors coming out, and it's always like with the Wretched, it's just fun having these like kind of like fun popcorn horror flicks come out, and this seems like one of them. And it seems like a fun change of pace, and it might be a fun one to cover.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should we publicly commit to doing Aqua Slash?
I would love that, honestly.
Okay.
Jessica, what do you think of the trailer for Aqua Slash? What does the world think of Aqua Slash? I know you're out there. Make your presence known.
I was I don't handle gore very well. Like gory stuff. But it looked interesting. I think it's going to be one of those films where people laugh more in the film just because of how ridiculous it is. But also, I think you guys talked in one of the podcasts about really wanting the slasher films to come back. So I think it'll be, like you said, a really cool summer flick for people to see, especially at the drive-in. I mean...
Yeah, like
that'd be
when
hilarious.
I saw the trailer, I thought, "Oh, this would be so fun to see at a drive-in."
Yeah, especially during the summer.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly. It seems like a fun summer horror flick that you don't have to take seriously, but there's going to be some good, like gruesome, like killings in there. The body count's probably going to be really high, and there's
like
going to
bad
be
acting.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's
everything
your B movie.
Yeah, it's everything you want from a B horror film, and it's something that you're just gonna have fun with, and I really enjoy those.
Yeah,
I do think it's funny because from the trailer, it doesn't seem like anyone's being pursued by a person. It seems like they just all keep going down the same damn slide and die. Like you think after the first one, they'd be like, hey, wait a minute. We should probably shut it down and see what's going on in there. But like they just keep going.
If it's just like an hour and a half of them not realizing, like, people are. There's probably something in there that's killing them.
Just all day.
Should we shut it down? No, we need the money.
I mean, maybe this one will be good. He'll get through the end and he'll be good. We'll see. And now just. So, yeah, Aqua Slash. Aqua Slash. That one's not a can selection, but it is.
Damn it! It
is also coming out on June 23rd, hitting video on demand. So I think we've publicly committed to watching Aqua Slash. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. You sound so disappointed.
Hey, you don't have to watch it. I'll never make you watch it.
I guess we've committed.
I mean, we should do a watch party, like a reaction to that one.
An Aqua Slash watch along. That could be something.
That could be cool.
That could be something.
I mean, if it's a fun summer movie, why not?
Maybe we could maybe the public pools will be open, and I could just set my computer up on like a floaty. Do you think they'd let me do that?
Oh my gosh, watch it at the pool. Oh man.
Just swimming in viruses and human filth. And
It sounds like a good idea. Let's pencil that in.
Cool. All right. One trailer left for a film called Homewrecker. Pop it up here.
I'm Linda.
Oh, Michelle. Nice to officially meet you.
Likewise. Aw, cute baby. Cunt.
When would you want to get this process started?
I just need some help getting organized. Let me give you a tour. Cheers.
Cheers.
Whoa!
Listen, I feel really terrible. How can I make that up to you? I really have to go.
Are you thinking about leaving now?
Linda!
I get it. Why would you want to hang out with a weirdo like me? Everyone is so fucking fake!
I think you're having some kind of breakdown.
What a crock of shit! I used to be popular! Everyone wanted to be me! You don't know anything about me!
All right. What do you guys think of that? Jessica looked like she was having a good time. What do you think of Homewrecker?
It looks hilarious. It looks so funny.
What do you think, Connor? You look tired.
It looks interesting. I didn't pick that trailer though because that was the one I watched, and I was gonna say something about her delivery of the word "cunt."
Yeah, that's the one that makes you pay attention to the rest of the trailer.
Yeah, I was like,
pardon, what was that?
What?
It's the trailer, and I was like, oh, there's gonna be some blood, maybe some F-bombs, and then that's like 20 seconds in, and I'm like, what?
We got a motion picture here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like an atypical horror concept. Like we not to throw any shade at Playhouse, but like you see that and you're like, that's a horror movie. Oh, it's about a haunted house. I get it. I know what it is. It looks silly, but it's different, and I like an atypical concept in the genre.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of like a more campy version of a movie. I think last year it came out, Greta. Did you maybe see Greta?
I have not seen Greta, but it
was kind of the same. It was a tiny movie. Chloe Grace Moretz didn't get really marketed or make much, I don't think, but it's actually pretty good. But yeah, it's about like an older lady befriending a young lady and then becoming sort of obsessive and destructive and sabotaging the young lady's life. And it's kind of like, this looks like a goofier version of that.
Yeah, no. It looked more like she went over for drinks and there was an over dramatic spill, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I love how the sledgehammer is just on the wall. Like, what the fuck?
She was ready. She knew what she was doing. That day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, in the living room.
Yeah, just a sledgehammer. It's not like a medieval sword that some weirdo might have on their wall or like a battle axe. It's a fucking sledgehammer that you would have in your garage.
Maybe she's a Triple H fan. Maybe he signed it. She's a big fan of the game.
Oh my god.
I don't know. We're like, well, that's Homewrecker. That hits digital and DVD on July 7th.
All right.
If that did it for you. You could catch it next month. All right, that's all our trailers for the evening. I did like that format. I know it was a little more time consuming than maybe if we just talked about it. But yeah, I think getting a more natural reaction, a fresh reaction is preferable. So hopefully the wretched internet algorithms don't completely ruin the idea for us, but they usually do. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get more of that next week. Should we hop into our book club?
Why not?
Which unfortunately, I know Jessica was publicly committing to reading this novella on the show last week, but it's hard. I had a hard time finding the free time to crack into this and read it this week as well.
I finished it today, honestly. So
there you go.
Yeah. No, I started school this week, so I have been super, super busy with biochem and psychology class. So
biochem, Stephen King. I mean, it's similarly weighted topics and ideas, right? So yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit here. So for those who've been following along, again, don't have any intense expectations that people are reading as per our assignment yet, but I would love if we get there eventually. But we read the second novella from Stephen King's If It Bleeds this past week. This one is a story by the title The Life of Chuck. Connor, you finished it today, so it might be even a little more fresh in your mind. What did you think in a nutshell of The Life of Chuck?
I liked it more than the first story.
Really? Okay.
Yes. It was creepier, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
It's cool how it played in reverse. Like the 3 acts are in reverse, which was cool. The ending of the first act was so creepy.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think I'm catching a theme throughout the stories. I'm wondering if this is going to play with technology.
Okay.
In that first act, it's the decline of life as we know it, and it relies heavily on the internet's going out. Like it'll go out for days on end, hours on end, and so I'm wondering if that's a theme that's going to carry out, especially with that first story. But this one, I really liked. I thought it was creepy. There was kind of this, although it was creepy and it dealt with the end of the universe. Spoilers. It still had this beautiful optimism to it as it played in reverse.
Yes.
So I really liked that. I was totally engaged. I couldn't put it down. Although I picked it up last night and started reading, and just because I've been busy, but couldn't put it down. I had to force myself to go to bed last night and then finished it today. But yeah, I loved it. This is my favorite one so far. We've only read 2, but it's my favorite one so far.
Interesting. Okay, I actually didn't expect that. And yeah, for those who are listening along and haven't jumped in, kind of wondering what the story is about, it is a little hard to summarize because it is told in non-linear time. It's told backwards. It starts off with 2 characters, or really 1 character. You kind of follow around his day-to-day life. You can tell he's living at sort of the decline of civilization, like pieces of California are falling off into the sea, communications are going down, places are flooding, species are going extinct. Like there's all sorts of these little dystopian touches, and they even out loud sort of theorize in conversation, like, yeah, maybe we are living during the end times. That's Act 1, and towards the end of that act, you get, I would agree, Connor, I did think it was a very creepy sequence of the lights going out, all the power going out, and they look to the sky, and the stars start to disappear. And then the way it ends, I think it just says black. Like it's building up.
Even with him looking at the windows of the houses and him seeing, Chuck Krantz appearing in the windows, all the windows just appearing. Then I was like, oh my God, this is actually kind of really frightening.
That was really bizarre. And I did miss the big through line of the first act, which is that he keeps seeing all these billboards and signs and TV commercials for Chuck Krantz, happy retirement, 39 great years, good job. And a photo of some guy he's never heard of, doesn't know who the hell Chuck Krantz is, but keeps seeing that. And he asks people, who's Chuck Krantz? Did he work in that building? I don't know who Chuck Krantz is, but I keep hearing about him on the radio. And then at the end, all these signs or something, or his face or something appears in everybody's window, and it's Chuck Krantz. And then the stars go out, and it just says black. World ends. And I was like, this is how it starts? What the hell happens next?
Yeah.
And then you work backwards, and you just learn about the life of Chuck Krantz, who is a seemingly normal guy. He's a fairly successful businessman. He's got a wife, got a son. The second act is because I agree, it was a page turner, and I kept going through it how the hell is this going to connect to Act 3, which it starts with? I was like, what does Chuck Krantz, this normal guy, have to do with the world going out? And the second act, you don't really get it. you're still like, the hell is this about? Because it's about like him walking down the street and this guy playing drums. Yeah, and he starts dancing to the guy playing drums, and he loses himself in the music. There's this other woman there he doesn't know, but she's having a particularly tough time in her life, and he like gestures to her to dance, and they dance out on the street, and this crowd comes together, and everybody's so happy, and they're throwing money in the drummer's hat, and he makes all this money, and that's pretty much what happens in the second act, and then second act, and the first act, which is at the end of the story, which is when I was going, okay, now I'm excited to figure out where this all connects, and it doesn't really at first. When I got to the end, I was like, wait, what? What about the world ending? What?
Yeah.
Because in the first act is about his childhood and him living at, I think, his grandparents' house, and him asking about like this attic room that's locked up. He's not allowed in, and his grandpa eventually reveals that he thinks it's haunted or something like that. Like he'd seen like the ghost of his grandmother up there before she even died or something. He's like, don't go up there. It's cursed. Don't go up there. And then Chuck gets up there as a kid and he doesn't know it at the time, but we can know from the description, he sees his own ghost. He sees the old dying body of Chuck Krantz in a hospital bed. We know it's him because they always identify him by a crescent-shaped scar in the back of his hand. So when he describes this old dying man he sees, we know it's Chuck, but he doesn't even know it's his own ghost. And then it doesn't really overtly connect to.
What I thought about is in that first act at the end, that they do. I think he's in the classroom and he says, like, they're reading something and it says, "I am large, I contain multitudes."
Yeah.
And then the teacher talks to him. It's like it's it's more than that. It's memories, and it's all in your mind, pretty much. And which makes me think like the whole story, like after he sees like the dying man in that spooky attic, like maybe all of it was not really in his head, but like the world he created came to an end,
right,
in his mind, because when the world ends is when he died.
Yeah.
And that third act, which is what the story begins with, ends with him pretty much dying. Or was that the end of the third act?
So the end of the second act is when he really dies.
Okay, yeah.
Because his kid visits him in the hospital.
Yeah.
And,
so that probably built in with the decline of like civilization. But I think all of it was like a world he created because he is large and contains multitudes.
Yeah,
so that's what I got from it, which is like a beautiful optimism about it, which I was talking about. It's he created all this in his mind, and it's his world, and the world he loved and enjoyed was kind of what he enjoyed, and that ended when he died.
Yeah, there's a couple like reaffirming statements like that, like you contain multitudes. There's something about somebody questions why he thinks like he's the protagonist in his own story. There's some sort of question posed like that. The idea that there are worlds within you. I really did, when I finished the story, I really did get that at first. I had to really kind of think about it for a while.
Yeah.
Because I got to the end and I was like, did I miss something? I just don't see how that connected to the third act. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's saying, we all have our perception of the world that exists in us. We all have a version of everybody we know that exists in our mind. We have a version of the place. We have a version of history, and that's the world we know. Some people get caught up in the idea of like living in a simulation. I'm real, but nothing else is, and this is all some grand simulation that I'm at the center of. And I feel like this kind of lives in that sort of that paranoia as well, that everything exists as long as you're there to perceive it. And then once you're not, it's all gone. And on a personal scale, as far as you're concerned, that can be true. You come from nothingness, you live, and then you go back to nothingness. And as far as the world as you perceived it ends with that as well. I thought that was a little bit, I would agree. I think that's what they were getting at.
Yeah, but the way he wrote it, it was I don't know. It was hopeful, even though it and I think that might be why he kind of played it backwards, is because if it played in a linear timeline, there's no optimism really.
Yeah.
It just ends with black, but beginning with black and then reversing into like going back to when he was a child, it builds on optimism, and it's an easy story to make very like dreadful and have no hope, but to start with the dreadfulness and end with the optimism was a beautiful way to structure it, and I really liked it, even though there are some things where I'm just like kind of your typical like Stephen King eye roll, like you're the cheese baby or whatever. I was just like, oh my god, like sometimes you can tell his age when he's writing, but you can get past it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we always have to remember, as successful as he is, Stephen King is a weirdo.
Yeah.
He's a fucking weirdo, and that's no slight against him. I'm a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
But that's his distinct voice. So yeah, he gets a little silly sometimes, and I'm a fan. So that's no slight against him. It was the same thing with the last story, where it's like, okay, you have this kind of brief, creepy idea. Calling the phone of a guy who's dead, and the voicemail always picks up, and it resonates. And like, you could have told that story really briefly. You could probably tell that story in 10 pages, right? But he spends so much time fleshing out the characters and the context and the history, so that it has a little more pathos to it. By the time you get to what's scary, I think it's more effective, because now you care about the character, or this is an antagonistic character. You really get to plant yourself in the realism, and you're there with the characters. And this does it too. I mean, that first chunk, which follows the character as civilization declines around him and things get scary. I thought for sure that's who the whole story was going to be about as you start.
Yeah.
And he's like, Chuck Krantz, who the hell's Chuck Krantz? I thought that's the journey we were going to take, following him and to figure out who Chuck Krantz is and why the world's celebrating as it falls apart. So you get all this context, and then it's gone. So that guy in the third act, it never even says it definitively, but my take was like, okay, that's maybe a guy that Chuck Krantz had met or had heard of. He had met these people, and he had these ideas of that's what their personality is. He got a divorce, but he didn't really want to. Like things like that. Those memories that stick with them, but as everything else goes dark, finally the lights get shut off on those. And those people are probably still out there existing somewhere in the real world, the world that Chuck did live in, and they've got their own narrative. They might not even know Chuck is in the real world, right? Like some guy who didn't even make an impression, but apparently they did on him. And so that impression and that version of life in the world and these people, goes the rest with him too. And I did read, I didn't notice this the last story, but at the back there's an author's note where he gives a little bit of backstory and context for each story, each novella in the book. So I didn't read ahead of this. I didn't read to see what the If It Bleeds one says, but I guess he had thought the very first thing that came, he's a weirdo. First thing that came to his head was a big sign that says Chuck Krantz, 39 great years. That was what he's like. That just vision struck me, and I had to figure out what that meant. It's like he's what a strange visual, but it stuck in his head. And I guess he'd written that first act, or act 3, the apocalyptic act, and then put it on the shelf. And then he came up with this idea of a rich businessman stopping on the street to dance to a drummer.
My God.
Which, by the way, again, you get the whole backstory of the drummer. You get the whole backstory of the girl walking down the street. He puts that pathos in everybody in his stories, which I think is part of what makes them so successful. He thought of that story, and he was like, hey, I can make that guy, businessman, this Chuck Krantz guy. And then, like, him connecting those is what helps him think of the last act, I guess. And he even says in the note, like, do they all connect? That's up to you, I guess. So it's just 3 separate ideas he had about this Chuck Krantz guy. And whether they tie together, I guess, is up to you. I agree that immediately they didn't for me. I was like, the hell? That's the end of the story? But between kind of meditating on it and then reading his idea on it, I think I think they do tie together, just not in a super obvious in your face kind of way. Not a way that he spells out. There was I guess you'd say a passage from it that I put in the notes here because I just thought, I think it kind of sums up the whole thing. It comes out of the second act, and it's as Chuck dies in the hospital. This is how he wrote, how he explained that process as you're leaving waking life and going back to nothingness. He said, in reference to Chuck, later he will lose his grip on the difference between waking and sleeping and enter a land of pain so great that he will wonder why God made the world. Later he will forget his wife's name. What he will remember, occasionally, is how he stopped and dropped his briefcase and began to move his hips to the beat of the drums. And he will think that is why God made the world. Just that. And I thought that was a pretty sort of succinct, beautiful, and kind of sad way to sum up going back to nothingness.
Yeah.
But I did like the story. I don't know if I liked it as much as the first one. Although now we're talking about it, I think I kind of do. Just because I think it's more...
The last word, it was like, all right, what's next? I can't wait to read the next one. But then the more I thought about it and I tried piecing it together, and I realized, wow, that is like a kind of like a beautiful story with some good creepy imagery, and I just thought, wow, I actually did like this more. Like it made me think more than the first one. And the message that I think I grabbed from it, I like more than the first one.
Yeah, as we talk about it, I think I've come around on it a little bit more as well, just because it is a little more thought-provoking and conversation inspiring. And I think it's interesting because I don't think these stories so far, we're a horror movie show and we're doing a horror lit book club. I don't think they're maybe still as intense or as scary as I expected. They are a little more meditative. Are a little more thoughtful than just here's something scary. It's coming. It's really about the characters in them and the context and connecting it back. You mentioned technology. There's also seems to be a theme about aging in this. We had Mr. Harrigan becoming old and losing touch with the world and eventually dying, and now we've got Chuck Krantz, which is a great name by the way. Chuck Krantz. I don't know still 100% what the next one is about, so we'll see if those themes resonate.
All I know is this next one is the sequel, the quasi sequel to The Outsider. That's all I know.
Yes, which Jessica, I know you wanted to read this one, and it's hard to do sometimes. I hope we can get you to read If It Bleeds, because you loved the series, the HBO series for Outsider.
I did love it. I'm just gonna have to tuck her down this weekend to try and get ahead of schoolwork, so that way I can get into the book.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this next one.
Yeah, love the book, love the series. I'm really, really enthusiastic about getting back to those characters, Ralph and Holly, and seeing what they're up to. We still haven't figured out what's up with the cat and the mouse. So we haven't gotten anything that evokes that yet.
Well, see, I just recently, I think it was a few days ago, I had the book on our coffee table and I was looking at it. I was like, oh, the nose and the eyes are a mouse.
It just hit you.
Fuck.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Yeah, we haven't gotten anything that very overtly invokes that image. So, and I don't know if we will. I don't know if he was just like, I don't know, that's creepy. Put it on the book. I wouldn't put it past them. But we'll see. I mean, the book's called If It Bleeds. That's the titular story. No, the last story I think is called Rat.
Oh, so that's probably it there.
That's got to be where we'll get to it. He's saving the rat for last, where we'll finally go, oh, okay, there's the rat. But yeah, next week we'll be covering If It Bleeds. Definitely the one I'm most excited for. It's the one this book gets its namesake from. I might even just start reading it tonight because
honestly,
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. Well, I want to get it done so that I can hand off my copy to you, so then you can check it out too as soon as possible. Because I would love for you to be able to come back and talk to us about Ralph and Holly, because I know you're a fan.
I am a big fan.
Seeing if El Cuco is back or if it's something different.
Oh yeah,
man.
The tear drinker, yeah. So we're coming back. We're talking about If It Bleeds next week. I'm very, very, very excited to do that. Now, with that said, we've got plenty more to talk about. It's time to finally hit our review portion for the evening. We've got 2 films to talk about. I think we should start off with perhaps Shirley, because it's a little more subtle. I think Becky's the one we're going to go off, so it makes more sense to kind of ramp up to that by talking about Shirley first, which is, if you didn't see it, it is a semi-non-fictional, semi-autobiographical story about horror writer Shirley Jackson, of course starring the great Elizabeth Moss. Connor, what did you think of Shirley?
This was a really tough one to watch. From what I got from it, she had bipolar. And as someone with bipolar, it was kind of like, it was hard to watch because it showed a lot of the like depressive state, and I don't know, it was very downbeat. I thought it was great performances. Elizabeth Moss was great. Michael Stolberg was amazing. I always enjoy his performance in any movie he does. It's always welcome. He always gives like such a beautiful performance in anything he's in. The cinematography was great. Overall, it was just, it was creepy. There was some like creepy tones to it, but overall, it was just a very hard movie to watch. It took me like, I think 3 tries to actually get through it.
Oh, wow.
Just because for personal matters, it was just hard to watch. But I enjoyed it as much as I could. Yeah,
and it is worth saying, not a horror movie, but as far as a non-fictional narrative, as far as like a drama, I would say it's a little more tense than your typical one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of that comes from the production value of it. It's coming from a director named Josephine Decker, who put out a smaller movie called Madeline. It's Madeline, I think, about a year, maybe 2 years ago. And I didn't know, because we mentioned, I'm not super familiar with Shirley Jackson's real life story. I did do a little reading on that to compare, because I just thought this was straight up a true story, but I guess it's based on a novel called Shirley by Susan Scarf Merrill. That is, a fictional narrative surrounding 2 actual people, Shirley and her husband. But I guess the couple, as far as I could tell, the couple that visited are 2 fictional characters, and so this exact narrative didn't happen. Based on what I looked up on Shirley, it seems like they still got a lot of the details of her character correct. I guess she was truly an agoraphobic, so it was very difficult for her to leave the house. I don't remember it saying it outright, but you do get the idea that at the very least she's definitely struggling with depression as probably part of her phobia, social anxieties, having company or going to a gathering outside results in her being so physically exhausted the next day she can't get out of bed and has to be like dragged out of bed and convinced to work and stuff. So seemed pretty consistent with what I did a little tiny research. It seems like that was pretty consistent with her actual life. It was tough. It's kind of and this doesn't say it is a bad movie or one not worth watching, but it is kind of a miserable time. It's a grouping of miserable people making each other miserable, and that's tough to watch, especially knowing that these are, at least 2 of them were real people. It seems her relationship with her husband, Stanley Hyman, which you mentioned, played by Michael Stolberg, that's pretty true to life too. He was a college professor, but handled most of the finances in their relationship, despite Shirley being, the one who made more, brought more money to their family. They did stay together. I think they had 3 children. He did have an open relationship, which I think she treated pretty begrudgingly. Again, I haven't done my due diligence on the homework, but it seems like I would imagine the author of the novel did, so ideally the screenplay would too. It seems pretty true to life. The husband, man, that dude is Michael Stolberg. Great performance, but he really did make that character pretty fucking despicable. He's very charismatic, which comes back to the performance, of course. It's every scene he's in.
He chews it up.
He's always like, well, darling. Like he's always got that tone.
And he delivers every line as if it's the most important line in the movie, and it really grabs you. Like every movie he's in, he delivers it that way, and you hang on literally like every syllable that comes out of his mouth. You're like hanging on to it.
Yeah,
he's just a great actor.
He is, because he plays it so well that for a while I kept like finding myself wanting to almost like him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because he does walk into every scene with this delightful cadence, and he's got this big wide vocabulary, and he seems to be having this great time. But it's like everything he says is an attempt to condescend or cut somebody down. He's constantly belittling Shirley's work, asking to read it. And when he does, it's always, well, it's pretty good, except for this, this, and this.
Yeah.
There's no room for just pride or compliment. He's always tearing down this woman who's pretty much the breadwinner for their family, and is clearly struggling with so much mentally and emotionally that he's not willing to engage in, and instead just sort of throws gas on the fire. I really felt for her character, but at the same time, you also watch her manipulate this younger woman constantly. It was hard for me to kind of place what her grand motive or her big game was. Because Rose, played by Odessa Young, and then there's also her husband Fred, played by Logan Lerman. It seems like that had never really happened, at least as far as I could tell, at least with those particular figures. I think those are fictional characters from the novel, but they're brought in by the husband. It seems like Fred is sort of shadowing, he's taking classes at the college with Michael Stolberg's character. He's kind of shadowing to become a professor in his own right, and they're allowed to room and board for free at their home, with the sort of addition of you help around the house, help Shirley get back on her feet, take care of the daily chores since neither of us will. And so Rose spends all this time in the house cooped up with Shirley, who doesn't ever really leave the house. And so they have a very increasingly intimate relationship. There's kind of this will they, won't they throughout the whole film, of whether that's becoming a romantic relationship. And I never felt like I really could get ahead of what Shirley's actual intentions were. She's writing a novel, which I thought leading up to this was going to be The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
Kind of her most notorious work, but no, it's actually about a novel named Hangs a Man, which is a real book that she did actually write about a girl who went missing in her town. But there's sort of this hint in the film that Shirley's got like almost I don't want to say supernatural abilities, but some sort of fictional intuition. She like can tell you're pregnant and knows what the gender of your child will be before, I heard somebody coming up.
Yeah.
I heard somebody wanting attention.
Yeah, he was getting a little antsy.
How are the babies doing?
Wonderful. They are.
Oh, you got babies?
Yep. This is Waffles. This is the youngest.
Hi, Waffles.
I think he was the culprit in getting into everything. But yeah, they're back to their normal selves. They're doing great.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. We can always use a cat update on the show.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. But keep going. I'm very interested. I'm sorry. He was just he was meowing very loudly.
He was calling for it. I was ready for him to come in. Shoot, what was I saying? That she kind of, it seems like Shirley is hinted to have some sort of otherworldly almost intuition. Being able to call it she's pregnant. She seems to have some sort of like premonition ability of like knowing when things are going to happen. She's reading tarot cards with Rose's character. She pulls the Hangman 3 times. He's writing a novel called Hangs a Man, so she thinks, doesn't say it outright, but seems to think this Rose character is basically her muse. Like when she thinks of the story she's writing, when she thinks of the missing girl, the protagonist, she sees Rose whenever she's writing it. So she seems to latch onto her in that way, thinking like her relationship with her is what's really going to inform the novel. Towards the end, her husband's berating her, like, you're writing about this missing girl. You don't know her. You never met her. She's just some girl. I walked past her maybe 10 times on campus, and you would never think a second thing about her. She's nothing. And Shirley comes back and like, I do know this girl. There's tons like her. I think that was the idea. She thinks Rose is that kind of girl who nobody looks at twice. Nobody gets a chance to be herself. Doesn't give her a chance to speak. Has no precedence in her own life. So that's kind of what I got. But I agree. it was a tough kind of ride to take, because you see people in dark places, and especially with Rose and Fred, seems like they're just getting darker.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like Shirley and Stanley were both individually kind of pushing them to those places, to where I thought at the end, I thought Rose might actually jump off that cliff. I thought maybe that's where it was going. And she didn't, but you still get the obvious sense by the end that she's changed permanently by the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
She's never going to go back to being the quiet, reserved girl that people can walk past. Now she's going to be somebody that's loud and has precedence in the world, like Shirley. So maybe a happy ending for that character. I don't know. It seems like at least their marriage has changed for the worse by having lived with Shirley and Stanley.
Yeah.
Especially the husband, who seems to have all these different affairs that everybody knows about except for his wife. So yeah, it was an interesting idea to do a sort of fictional telling of non-fictional individuals. And not really a horror movie, but I thought the relevance with it being Shirley Jackson would make it an interesting thing to look at on this show. I think those kind of stories have been told before. I think somebody just put out like a novel about like Hillary Clinton that was like, if she never married Bill Clinton, what would have happened?
Oh no,
I think I'd seen that. I think it's called Rodham, and it's like speculative fiction about Hillary Clinton, and I've heard of less ridiculous ideas about that before. That kind of story format before, but see, I don't know. Is there anything else we wanted to say about Shirley? The answer appears to be no. What did you?
I didn't watch it. So
yeah. Jessica was deep in some psychology homework.
Yeah, I mean, this is psychological, I guess. Overall, it is a very miserable and tough watch. Like I said, it was hard for me to watch. I was trying to find things to enjoy about it, like take things out to like, okay, I enjoyed this. And there are some things. Overall, I would give it 2.5. But that's just from personal experience, because it was very hard for me to watch. So 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of it's sort of a biopic, sort of a nonfiction story. I think the production of it sort of elevates it beyond what could be a very boring and dry story, and it does have that benefit of fictional elements, so you can kind of spice it up and make it more theatrical. But little touches like I almost wanted more of it, like these sort of weird lucid visions that Shirley and Rose have, nightmares, kind of like Shirley meeting like this fictional version of Rose if she's writing it. Those little tweaks are really
I will say, like, if I didn't find those things, I enjoyed like those like visions of her, like her visions of like the story, and the fictional like images of Rose. Like if it didn't have those things for me to actually like point out and be like, okay, I do enjoy this, I probably would have turned it off after a half hour.
Yeah.
Because it like that central thing was very tough to watch, but there are things that kind of pulled me through, and there are threads that kept me entertained.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on, bud.
You okay?
Tell me what's going. It's like desperate. Tell me what's going on.
He's like that old man with dementia that walks into like a grocery store that just yells, "What's going on? Tell me what's going on."
Who are you? We're talking about Shirley, man. Like, I got a scrolling banner at the bottom that tells you.
I think we're about to move on to Becky, which
we are.
I'm so fucking excited for.
I'll just briefly say in closing, I did like Shirley. It was a tough watch. I thought it was a great sort of elevated version of a biopic drama. Kind of reminded me of just that movie like Goodbye Christopher Robin that came out a couple of years ago.
That was like sad.
It was Donald Gleason. It was like the actual true story about how he came up with the idea for Winnie the Pooh. Not the
the live action one, right?
Not the Disney
not the live. I remember them both coming out, and I opted to see Christopher Robin, which I actually enjoyed.
Yeah. The Ewan McGregor movie is better, but the other one with Donald Gleason, which is just a very dry, straightforward biopic. It was just such a bummer, dude. It was like, hey, did you know Christopher Robin was a real kid and his life sucked? Like, that's what it was pretty much like, relentlessly again and again and again.
In those movies, like, especially when it deals with like real issues, like what she had, when they make it so like straightforward and dry and just hammer in the fact like, hey, she had this, like, she was miserable. Like, those movies are like so hard to watch and like almost like, all right, I'm dealing with this already. Like, I don't want to watch it. Like, like I tried to get past it and now I'm watching it. Like, so it like, but there are things in it that like pulled me through it and like kept me entertained and actually wanting to know what's happening next. And there are movies that deal with issues like that. Like, you know, you have Silver Linings Playbook, which kind of like doesn't really glamorizes it. I mean, he went through a lot, but it kept it entertaining. Like, he had this like delusion that it made it entertaining to watch. And it was hopeful, and like movies like that where it kind of like gets you through it. There's stuff to like cling on where it just doesn't hammer in the fact like, hey, like this is it and it's awful.
Aww. Yeah, I remember the last few minutes that I watched. I told Taylor, I was like, actually, that movie looked really dark. I'm glad I didn't watch it.
It's not the kind of darkness we usually deal with on this show.
Like that might be darker than a lot of horror movies I have watched. Like, it is very, very dark because it does deal with like real problems.
Exactly. So
mental illness is always a dark topic.
It was tough, and I don't know that I'd watch it again. Not because it wasn't a good film, just because it'd be.
I could never watch this again. I'll be straight honest. Like, I'll never watch this again. I just don't know when I'd find myself in the mood to be like, let me go back to that. I don't think I'll ever be in the mood. Like, there's not like a moment like in like for the rest of my life where I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and watch Shirley.
Right. No, I'm glad I saw it the one time. I would go even closer, maybe going like to a 3.5 on it, because I do think for what it is, it found a direction that was really compelling visually. It was really well shot and edited. As you said, the performances are fantastic. It's totally engaging and immersing. And I don't know if you've ever seen an actual photo of Shirley Jackson, but wow, they just knocked it out of the park. Looks just like her. So good movie. I would recommend checking out. It's not something you'll want to watch just any old plain afternoon for funsies, but I thought it was good, and I would recommend it. Now we will hop into something which should be heavier, but definitely isn't. A lot more fun despite what it depicts. We're going to talk about Becky.
Holy shit! I've just now seen this onesie for it, and I want to find it and buy it.
It's a terrific hand-drawn
poster. Oh my god, I fucking love that image of Diego.
It really.
I want this framed like in my home. I really do.
It's a fantastic sort of throwback, grindhousey poster. So let's talk about Becky. I'm excited because we all saw this. So I'll start off with you, Jessica, because you haven't had an opportunity to talk much lately. What did you think of Becky?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I did. I loved it so much. There were a few times I had to turn away because I couldn't deal with what was it, 3 specific scenes in the movie.
Yeah, you were cringing a lot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I guess I won't go into
I got the spoiler banner up. We can go.
Okay.
Get into it.
Okay.
We can go.
Okay. The first cringe moment was when Becky stabbed him in the eye with a key.
Can I just say, like, anything to do with eyes, like, I can't do.
Really?
There's something to do with eyes, like,
it's nasty.
Like, there's something that happens to me where I can feel like the
Oh,
fluid
really?
in my eye like move around, and like
Oh,
it's
wow.
I can feel it squishing it. It's like the worst feeling ever. And I
Oh.
think like drawing from that, like I can't do anything with eyes.
Yeah.
So this scene, and then there's like a scene in the Evil Dead remake, which even
Ooh,
though
yeah.
there's an eye scene in there, like I love it, but like anything to do with eyes, I'm just like I can't watch it. Like it makes me like, oh my god, like thinking about it. Which
me
is the
chills.
scene like I laughed at, which is surprising. I don't know if is this the scene you were talking about? I knew it. I knew it. Where
No,
he's just,
Taylor-
like
I was
where he's
cackling.
trying to cut it with the kid's scissors. Like I was laughing, and it was so confusing for me because I'm laughing, but I also like this is like a horrible moment for me. Like I'm cringing
Yeah.
so bad.
Well, we thought that she stabbed him in the eye and that was it. Like, we thought that was it. But then when he got back to the house, we
Yeah.
realized that his eye was hanging from his eye
Yeah.
socket.
Yeah.
And we were just like, what is happening? And then
Yeah.
when he tried to cut it, I had to look away. And
He's
then
telling his buddy, he's like, cut my eye off.
I know. I had to like burrow my head into Taylor's like armpit. And then I looked back because I thought it was over, but then nope.
Wrong.
Kevin James just goes up to the guy and he just cuts it off himself. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
There was that one, and then the second one was when the guy fell into the water and he's like, I can't swim. And I thought she was gonna drive off in the boat, but instead she backs the boat up over him. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't watch it. So like burrowed my head again.
Yeah.
And it was just, there was a lot of like goriness in the movie that I did not expect, but
Yeah.
I think was needed in the film. And then of course, lastly was when Kevin James gets run over by whatever the hell that thing
Oh my
was.
god.
And they put that close up right over his head. And I was just like, oh no.
You see his brain mush.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I
Just
just,
like his skull like cut like just pretty clean.
yeah.
1/6 of his head is left.
Yeah.
I had full body cringes all three of those moments, but
Yeah,
it was fantastic. I enjoyed it. I was very, very sad that her dad had to die, but I think it was definitely necessary.
Because it kind of gives an excuse, not really I guess an excuse for like her violence, like
why she snaps so hard.
Yeah, why she goes so violent, because there were really 3 lives left, and like there were 3 things in her life that she loved, you know, or I guess 4: her mom, her dad, and her 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And her mom died, and then they shoot Dora, which like I'm surprised I stuck through it because that was so sad.
It was
so sad. And the necessity of it was just, what are you doing?
Yeah. And then her dad dies. So she only has Diego left.
Yeah.
And so like I
Owner
can
dog.
Yeah. So I mean me and Liv were like putting ourselves in that situation, and we were like, yeah, we would fucking massacre everybody that came in our way if like we were put in that situation. Like we had 2 dogs, like both of our parents died and one of our dogs died, like and all we had was one of our dogs left, and you know these people were not giving up. Like we would definitely go to those extremes.
I think it also, I think my favorite part was like right after she killed Kevin James and then shot Apex in the head.
I was so sad, even though he's a fucking neo-Nazi, but you can tell he had this redeeming factor.
That was sad, but it was also necessary.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting choice. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite part was right after that, her screaming was just like releasing all that pain and anger that she felt. You could kind of just feel that a little bit, which was really, really satisfying. Not necessarily her killing Apex was satisfying because it was kind of sad.
Yeah, because you did see he had this redeeming factor. You know, he didn't want to
early.
very early, and he didn't want to do any of this. and he felt truly bad about these things that he was being kind of manipulated into doing, and he truly wanted to help her, and even said like, I'm sorry, I should have stayed with you, and I should have helped you.
Right.
It was like he had this redeeming factor, and then like it was just like
yeah.
They totally went. They set you up for you thinking you knew where that's gonna go, and then they just blast off. They're like, nah. They're like, yeah, he wasn't as bad as this dude, but he was still a fucking Nazi. So
yeah, he was still a Nazi. Yeah, which after it happened, I was like, well, he was a Nazi.
Yeah, and I don't know. It seems like there's maybe room to say that the Apex character maybe didn't really believe in that ideology. Maybe he just got swept up with Kevin James's character.
I think that was showing like different dimensions of what their cult resembled. I think that, with every cult, there are people that believe in the cause, but they're not willing to go to those extreme measures in order to execute out what they believe in. They still have human tendencies, and they don't want to murder and kill people or children and stuff like that. So I thought that was an interesting twist that they had. I don't know if that was the meaning of it, but that's what I took from it.
And I will say I love the mystery box of like the key and what it opens up, and I love how we don't find out what it opens up, because I think that would like pretty much like kill pretty much everything like that was interesting about the movie. So I'm glad we never found out what it opened up, because I feel like if we found out what it opened up, it'd be like, okay, all that happened for this.
Now my question is I kind of had this thought, and I'm curious what you guys think. Do you guys think Becky was a psychopath, and then because of the only people that she cared about and loved died, kind of let all that out? Because it seemed like she enjoyed killing all those neo-Nazis, and then at the end, the last scene of her holding the key and smiling, that was creepy.
I looked up some reviews and things on the film. The most consistent critique I see of it is that people thought she went from like 1 to 4,000 way too quickly and simply. That she went from like, here's a teenage girl who's mad at her dad, to like stabbing you in the neck 40 times with a colored pencil or whatever. Like, I think it seemed to me like, there's that trope of, oh, you're that she's not my real mom. This woman you're bringing. We kind of get into it a little bit with The Wretched. It's more subtly done there than it is here, but you definitely get that she's got a kind of anger in her. She's not just a teenager who's disagreeable and going through hormones and change. It seems like to me that she is especially difficult, and
I think she's definitely a troubled child.
Yeah.
Which is clearly where she was, like, even like at the beginning when she was like, I want gummies. What do you mean you don't like gummies? And then she just steals the gummies and then is eating it at the end. Like, she's definitely a troubled child, and she wants to cause trouble because, and I think it took taking everything away from her to really draw that out. Definitely don't think she's a Nazi, because if she was, like, she would have, like, when Kevin James was like, yeah, I'll teach you, like,
that scene was
I'll take you under my wing. Yeah.
Like, what does this dude think? What is this Palpatine-esque, like,
right?
Be my apprentice?
Yeah,
Mal Capo,
like
okay.
It was Apex, but like he's realizing like, okay, this girl does not have any like moral like obligation, like, or like this moral like understanding of like, I just brutally murdered all these people, and like she doesn't feel bad about it. And he has this twisted, like, okay, this girl might be actually like scarier than this 7-foot gigantic dude.
Yeah,
but she even showed that when she stole the gummy worms or whatever. You know what I mean? She had no sense of morals when she did that. So that's why I was thinking, is she a psychopath?
No, I think she's
like.
I don't know if she's a psychopath. I think she's just a troubled kid, and it took all this to really like show her true nature. And that's not saying like her true nature is like a psychopath.
Yeah.
I think she's just. I think she was smiling because she realized she's strong. I think she felt weak, like when her mom died, and like she didn't have like power over like her new family.
Yeah.
Like her dad like met this new woman, and then like she tried convincing him not to sell that like the cabin. And then she got really happy. Like one of the only moments of like happiness we see is when like he's like we didn't sell it, and that's only brief because then he brings in this new woman and this new child, and is like they're gonna be staying with us here.
Yeah.
And then it's like back to like her being like pretty like pissed off.
Yeah.
And so
and then
like
on top of it, they're getting
it seems
married.
and that's like that moment of happiness is like the only moment she realized she maybe had a little bit of control.
Yeah.
And so I feel like she was smiling because she realized she had control and she was strong.
I did feel kind of by the end that maybe she had. It reminded me of something like a Korean like revenge, like I Saw the Devil or like Old Boy, where like by the end the idea is you've done. It's out of revenge and your idea of justice, but you've done these such intensely horrible things that by the end that you yourself are irredeemable in your own way.
The ending reminded me of Green Room.
Yeah.
Where like at like towards the like first act they're talking about like their top 5 like desert island bands, and then it brings it back at the very end, and he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you out of committing these horrible acts, you lose sense of self, and now you just you become something else. But I kind of felt, because not only did she still have the key, but she was like deliberately not giving pertinent info to the people investigating it. She's pretending to forget, and then she was openly taking joy in what she had done by the end. And
which shows me that she knew what she did, and that's why she didn't like go out and say like, yeah, he tried getting into my like fort, and so I jumped off the roof and stabbed him with some colored pencils, and then shoved a ruler, like 7 inches through his neck into the ground, and then I chopped up this guy with some with a motor on this boat, and then I shot this dude in the head, stabbed this guy in the eye, like did all this shit.
Yeah,
like she didn't say any of it. She just said, I don't remember.
Yeah. And I think the shooting of Apex at the end is maybe kind of, that's it. That's where the line gets drawn, where it's okay, now you're not killing people out of justice or just self-defense. You're just kind of killing someone out of rage. And I did like that pivot because again, from the very beginning, they kind of set up, oh, maybe this guy's not so bad. He lets him, like, the girlfriend and her son run off. They get caught again. And then he lets Becky escape. He takes off. And then he comes back again and helps out. It seems like they keep trying to justify how one of these characters isn't so bad, and like Becky's just not even interested in it. She's like, nah, you showed up with these guys. You might feel bad about killing those kids, but you still did, so you got to go. And smokes them. And I feel like that was it. Like after that point, it was like you're going to be haunted by this, and she's not. And the next scene, she's like, I love that I did that, and I'm gonna go unlock that key someday too.
Yeah, and Kevin James was really good in it.
Yeah, that's right. We should talk about Kevin James.
Kevin James, wow.
That's, I think,
the big role.
That's like the big thing they're marketing this on. That's like their, Lulu Wilson becoming kind of a scream queen personality. She was in the second Annabelle creation. I think she was in Ouija.
She was in Ouija, Origin of Evil, which she was really good in. So
good one, and she was in Haunting of Hill House, kind of ties back to the Shirley Jackson thing. So she's become a young horror personality. So she was good. Yeah, she was good. But the big thing is that Kevin James, obviously, Paul Blart, is playing a villainous, frightening neo-Nazi murderer.
And he was so manipulative, and that's what made him so scary.
Yeah, that scene with him in Apex.
Yeah, where he was like, shoot me in the chest if you're not gonna do this. If everything we've planned for, these thousands of hours, if this is all waste, then shoot me. Like that, that scene was very powerful. Like, and then like, I don't know, like I just thought he was so good.
He was good.
Yeah. He was really good.
Surprisingly.
Well, yeah, no.
Paul Blart. He's Paul Blart.
I know the mall
quite
cop.
like this. And I was reading an interview with the directors, and they had said, early on, it was really important for them to get someone like that, who you see and you could welcome into your home, who is charming and charismatic. So naturally, he could function as a cult leader or a gang leader.
Yeah,
a chameleon.
Somebody who could get you to put your guard down, because he comes in, he's all warm-hearted. Hey, I lost my dog. He's making friends, and then as soon as that door closes and he knows he's in, the facade just drops.
Yeah,
it's like a switch gets flipped. Yeah, he was good. I gotta say,
good.
If he didn't pull it off, his presence would have taken me out of the movie. To keep seeing the King of Queens pop up.
Yeah, I never looked at him like, okay, King of Queens, like Paul Blart. I never looked at it like that. I was like, okay, this is actually like a really like scary neo-Nazi that like just nothing's gonna stand in his way, and he's gonna get what he wants, and he'll say whatever he wants to get what he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. His portrayal of the neo-Nazi was definitely believable, at the least. His lack of empathy for human life was chilling, at the least, especially when it came to children. But I thought he did a really, really good job. I've never seen the Mall Cop movies, so I don't know. I don't know him in that. I've watched him on like late night shows where he does like the fall experiment. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but he's very good in comedies. I know that. Yeah. So seeing him in this very serious dramatic role was definitely interesting, but he executed it very, very well, which I hope opens more doors for him. Yeah. Because I think he could do very, very well in a lot of films that are like this. Hopefully not specifically a neo-Nazi, but maybe something else that he could experiment with, and hopefully producers and people in the industry can kind of see that too from this film and take him on to other projects. But he did really well.
I do know, not that he would come back for another one, but it seems like the directors in the interviews were trying to suggest like, maybe we would do a follow-up, because it feels like the potential. You don't need it, but it feels like you could.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want another one or I don't want another one. You know what I mean?
It seems like their strategy in not telling you what the key actually unlocks is so they could come back and revisit it.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the reason why we didn't find it, but if they make another one, I'll watch it. But I like not knowing what was what it unlocked.
I don't know how you would do a Becky 2 without Becky becoming the villain,
Yeah.
Because how do you believably put that character in another situation where they can do these things again?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could think of how they could do another one without her becoming the villain. But I just don't know if I would want that film to come out, because I like the mystery behind the key, and the fact that Kevin James's character didn't explain it enough. It was very vague, but it seemed like a very extreme prize within the chest. So I don't know if I would want another one. I do, but I don't.
I was a little let down that we didn't find, because I went into this thinking he just wanted to get some money they had buried or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does give a little context, but not a ton, that seems to have some more intense implications. He thinks it's some sort of guidelines for the destiny of the different races or something. So it seemed, I don't know if it's a book or what, if it's something supernatural. It kind of has that Pulp Fiction briefcase thing going on, right? It's got.
So, I mean, if they do make a second one, maybe it goes the route of like Happy Deathday, where it gets kind of weird, and maybe it gets supernatural, maybe it gets kind of sci-fi, maybe it changes genres instead of this like, extreme like thriller Home Alone type movie. Maybe it gets kind of weird with it, which could be cool. I feel like that's the only way it would work, if they get really weird with it.
Yeah.
They couldn't do like Becky in another situation where with more home invaders, or Becky trying to escape somewhere. Like, I don't think that would work as well.
Yeah.
Probably not. I guess I could see it being a film where she goes on an expedition to discover what the key is or what it unlocks, and she possibly pairing up with somebody along the way that can help her get that, whether that be an ex-neo-Nazi or somebody that has information regarding it that decided to leave the Brotherhood in some way or another, and then going on this expedition, like I said, but coming across more neo-Nazis that are specifically trying to get a hold of the key and to execute their plan, whatever it would unlock. And then it just becomes this big, huge, battle between them and stuff like that. That's what I see in my head. I can't picture Deathday, Happy Death Day with it, or like a supernatural element to a second one. I don't know how that would work out.
I'll have to reserve excitement until I hear plot details.
Yeah,
I think the simplicity is part of what makes this movie beautiful. It's it's an easy concept. There's never a bad time to watch a bunch of Nazis get butchered. Never. I'm never sad about that.
But I also think it's if that was happening to us, we would be in Becky's shoes doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it at the end, I just get the sense that she took a little more joy from the experience than maybe she'd anticipated when it stops feeling like simple self-defense, and now it's like relishing in the murder and the mayhem and taking as many lives as you can. I thought was different. I thought it was different than making her just kind of a regular protagonist who's pained and doesn't take pleasure. Like, I think you typically make them more sympathetic, and she was sympathetic, but by the end, she definitely doesn't feel like much of a victim anymore. She's completely annihilated all the threats.
I think she figured out like another reason to live because of the discovery of the key, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
Out of 5 mall cops, what would you give it?
We're going mall cops. I thought maybe we go severed eyeballs
severed eyeballs. Let's go severed eyeballs.
Or mysterious keys.
severed eyeballs.
Out of the possible 5 severed eyeballs dangling into the kitchen sink, I'll go 3.5 severed eyeballs. I thought this movie was kick-ass.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna give it a 4.25 eyeballs.
Wow.
I'm going full 5 out of 5 severed eyeballs. I fucking loved Becky.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, you're at 4.5. 4.5.
I'm going a full 5 out of 5. The highest rating I've given so far on this show.
That's the first perfect 5 that anyone's given, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I can't believe you lowballed it. Jeez.
I had a
Unintended.
blast watching this movie.
No, to me, how I rate movies in my scale, 3.5 is a very good score.
It's a very good score.
Yeah.
There's just I didn't get bored. There wasn't anything like where I was like, all right, I want to get past this scene to see what happens next. There was nothing that made me think like, they could have done this differently. I loved everything about it. So that warranted the 5 out of 5 severed eyeballs.
I even enjoyed the 2 cornball goofballs guys that escaped with them. Like, that was kind of, they inserted some comedy there when it came to the bad guys, which I enjoyed. Short-lived, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
some Nazi dipshits.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was so happy when they died.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to Becky, every time she killed one of these motherfuckers, I was loving it. So I cannot judge how much joy she took from it.
Except for Apex.
But I was shocked. But even then, I was like, you know what? Fuck
he was a Nazi.
he was a Nazi, and he killed kids in the opening scene. Yeah. I was like, it's good you feel bad about it, but you still did it.
Yeah.
And he did punch Diego in the face. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did think he killed a dog, which even making me think he killed a dog is
like still, yeah. Because at first I was like, what? He didn't kill the dog, but then I was like, but I did think he killed it, and he did punch it really hard.
He punched her really hard.
Yeah, eat those bullets, fucking asshole.
That dude, by the way, I totally thought that dude was going to end up being a pro wrestler or something, but
yeah,
I loved him in Sherlock Holmes. He was great.
Oh yeah, shit, he was in there.
Yeah, you did find out he was from that, which was good pull. Good pull.
Yeah.
Great movie.
So I think if it wasn't obvious, we fucking love Becky. Awesome, simple, super violent, just great performances from everybody who needs to give one. Just great, quick, clean, simple. You can rent it. It's at the drive-in. If there's one near you, you can go find it that way. It's a red box joint, so I'm guessing it'll end up in the red box before too long. If you need to wait that long, you can go get it for $1. It's worth more than that, though. I can assure you. This movie is great. So hard recommend on Becky. So we're just about done here. I said it was going to be a quick, streamlined show, and here we are clocking in at 2:40 once again. We do, of course, need to now announce what we'll be watching next week. Just like our trailer segment, rather than just announce it with a poster, we're going to play the trailers for those movies. Because I say movies because it is a double feature, so I'm just going to play those back to back, what we're watching next week.
In the midst of the 1980s, no one was scarier than Freddy Krueger.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I was obsessed, loving Freddy Krueger, loving A Nightmare on Elm Street.
But part 2 came along, and it was just a strange movie.
For a lot of us, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was our introduction to, a lot of gay in that movie.
It's kind of a siren song for the queer horror community.
And Mark Patton's, he's a scream queen.
I wake up in the middle of the first movie that I'm the lead actor in and realize that there's a gay subtext in it.
It wasn't subtext, it was right there.
This movie is the gayest thing, and we did Xanadu last month.
Some of the circumstances around the making of this film created a lot of hurt for him.
And people ask you about it, you say, no, Mark was just so gay that he ruined the movie.
You know, the mainstream public, they weren't ready for a male scream queen. They couldn't articulate it.
I think the word is homoerotic.
That it wasn't owned as a queer film made a light shine on him that was completely inappropriate.
The film that was poised to launch his career ended up destroying it.
Mark Patton pretty much disappeared.
He was the Greta Garbo of horror.
I was not an out gay actor in Hollywood in 1985. I was a gay person, and I was living in terror.
In the 1980s, to be queer was to be this sort of diseased pariah. I think, in a way, Mark Patton paid the price for that.
It was on the page of the script, and I knew we were treading in there.
This is not a delusion that I'm having. You filmed in one of the biggest gay bars in Los Angeles.
Oh, well, was that a gay bar?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, you can play with it all you want.
I wanted to be a movie star. This movie destroyed it.
That's what made him go a little crazy.
The movie was 30 years ago, and you're still pissed off at Dave Jaskin.
You've been lying for 30 years about this.
Yeah, I never wrote, he screams like a woman.
If you don't think that this is all interconnected, then you need to do your math again.
You know those teen vampire movies that feel like the horny soap opera fever dreams of a 8th grade diary? Here's how mine began.
The graduating class of Central Oregon High.
Be safe. Oh my God, guys, I'm gonna be fine. My first night in LA, and it's already the best night of my life.
Hi, we're going to after hours party if you want to come.
That's enough.
Shoveled a lot in your life, haven't you? How would you like to hold the keys to the kingdom for a change? Now would be the time for any questions.
Were you guys like
Vampires?
Yup. Do you guys kill people?
Indiscriminately.
Innocent people?
It's like 80-20. Rule number 1, never turn a man into a vampire. Men can't handle power. Welcome to Fight Club.
Fight Club? What about Bit Girls?
Sounds like we're part of STEM or something.
Welcome home.
What, no coffin?
Why would we do that?
'Cause it's dope.
You're staying away from drugs, right?
Yes, Mom. My life's a horror movie. Life's full of things you never think should happen, and then it does.
I'm going to be 18 forever.
People just think you're aging well.
There you have it. That is next week's double feature. An interest of it, in fact, being Pride Month, we thought we'd look at two films. One being a documentary that I don't think we'll get a lot of opportunities to do documentaries on this show. Scream Queen: My Nightmare on Elm Street, about the production of the second Freddy film and the backstory and its legacy. That's streaming exclusively on Shudder. Sponsor us. You can catch it there. And then we'll be watching a new film called Bit, which looks like kind of a campy sort of dark comedy about a transgendered vampire. So 2 different films in a celebration of Pride Month here on Reely Scared. I think Bit you can just find on demand. I don't think it's streaming readily anywhere, but you can probably grab it for a couple bucks off wherever you rent movies. So go find those, check them out, watch them, come back here next Thursday. I don't know, are we going to do 8 p.m.? We're doing 9 p.m. again. It's another late shift.
Yeah, they're getting really screwy with my my schedule over at work. But the following week we'll be back at 8 p.m. Possibly, because I believe you are going back to work supposedly. So it'll be interesting to see, if we continue Thursdays with the 8 and 9 p.m. slots. But we'll see.
Yeah, so another double feature next week. The show ran later than I said it would, as it always does. Thanks to anybody who stuck with us till the midnight hour. We'll see if that'll be the case next week. But I think that does it for us. I got the links at the bottom. If there's anything you don't follow us on, obviously you're watching us or listening to us on some platforms, but those are the links for all of them at the bottom there. Check us out, holler at us. And if you want to be on the show, just let us know. It's always an open door here to talk about the shit we love. Anything else you would like to say before we sign off for the evening?
Stay safe.
Watch Becky.
Watch Becky. Fuck Nazis. Stay spooky, my ghouls. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.